Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Irish Breakdown Podcast. I'm Vince, that's Trev, and we're back. It's Friday, which means it is a Friday Free-For-All Mailbag, and of course, we are presented by our friends over at FanDuel for another Friday Free-For-All Mailbag. It's one of the best days of the week. You guys get to prep the show. You guys get to tell us where to go, and we just follow your lead. And I can't think of a better way to do a show because I had my morning to do some other stuff. As opposed to prepping for a show. So that was good. I appreciated that. And I like to put the onus on the people. And this show is by the people and for the people. So I'm excited about this one. Trev, how you doing today, man?
We're good, man. It's Friday. Fun weekend coming up, but not before we get to a Friday Free-For-All Mailbag. I love these. You guys come with good questions. One thing that I will say is throughout the offseason, typically we come up to the point where it's like, okay, we've talked a lot about CJ Carr last year at this time. It's like, yes, guys, we think Jeremiah Love could contend for the Heisman. But, hey, this year you guys are absolutely bringing it. And in all seriousness, it is very much appreciated on our end. Keeps us on our toes. We get to answer some great questions along the way. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And if you want to get a question in, make sure you put MB at the beginning. Or, of course, the little mailbag emoji, it's a mailbox emoji. That way we can see it, we can start, we can get to it, and we will get to as many questions as we possibly can in the time frame allotted, of course. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this thing. You got a big weekend. I don't have a big weekend, although thinking about traveling a distance to an IMAX theater to watch the Odyssey movie. Thinking about going all out for that one. I'm usually the guy who goes to the local theater where it's $4 or $5 a ticket, that kind of a deal. I don't know if I can stomach $16 a ticket, but it might be worth it for this kind of a show.
Did you, before we dive into the mailbag, did you ever up in South Bend, like Mishawaka area, go to like the Dollar Movie Theater? It was like right by that Best Buy. That was
all the time.
We would always go.
All the time. It's a gun range now. And our esteemed leader has a membership at that particular spot. But yeah, they tore it down. It was nothing for a while, and then they built an indoor gun range there. So, but no, I would go there all the time. You just had to wait for it to clear theaters. And then you would go there, and it was like the also rans. I freaking loved it. It was great. So we were penny pinchers. I come by my penny pinching, very loyally from my parents. Very naturally, it's in the blood, it's in the gene pool, and so we would hit the Dollar Theater, and then maybe head over to the mall to like pay less to get me some shoes. Like that's how.
Yep.
That was my youth, pretty much.
I'm with you completely. Everything that I wear, the IB t-shirts that I wear, Brian gets me, and then all of my plain color t-shirts are like $7 at JCPenney. So
yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you what, these new IB shirts, the dry fit ones, dude. Man, I'll be honest with you, this little heat wave that we've been dealing with, this is all I've been wearing. This is it. Even if I'm not on a show, I've got the IB. So everybody needs to check that out over at irishbreakdown.com and the store, the merch store. These are worth every penny, in my opinion. I've already got a full boat. I am actually discarding some of my older cotton shirts. And so if you are a local, Goodwill is about to have a few IB shirts. So if you want to get some older IB shirts in the XL range, you might want to hit that up in the next couple of weeks. But these are where it's at, man. I love these things. So
love it.
Little plug for the store, for the merch store. All right, let's hit it, man. I'm sure you got one in the chamber there. Let's fire it up.
You guys know it. Super chats get bumped to the top and getting us kicked off today. We got our guy Wade Garrett.
All right, Wade, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you very much. I'm being forced to swim with sharks today. It's been a pleasure knowing everyone. It's all over for me. Hashtag I'm chum. Hashtag go Irish. Wade, that means you're on vacation. And I can appreciate that big time that you're on vacation. So kudos to you, sir. Hope you have a good time. I'm sure they'll put you in the cage, or if they're like the little, whippersnapper sharks, you swim with them or whatever. But good for you. That sounds like actually like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, it took me. I didn't know if this meant something else. Or
I know
if you were physically going and swimming with sharks. I'm going and spending the entire weekend with my in-laws, so I will also be swimming with the Sharks this weekend. But in all seriousness,
oh man, I hope they're not listening.
No, probably not.
No, probably
maybe, but we'll see. But in all seriousness, that sounds like a lot of fun. But be safe.
Yeah, of course. Be safe. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy vacation. No doubt. John A1, I believe the 26 Notre Dame team will be the most complimentary football team in the country. Do you agree? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think they'll absolutely be one of, and I think that they're in contention to be the most complimentary team in the country. When you talk about what they return at the top, there's very few other teams in championship contention that return their head coach, offensive and defensive coordinator.
That's true.
And that list is Notre Dame, Indiana, Georgia, and I think that might be the list of the top 7 teams that we routinely. Oh, and Miami, excuse me. Miami also returns both of their coordinators and obviously Mario Cristobal. So talking about 4 teams out of, all 138 teams that are going to be fighting to contend for a national title this upcoming season. So yeah, I absolutely believe so. I think Mike Denbrock and CJ Carr are going to be the best offensive coordinator quarterback duo in the country. And so, yeah, I absolutely buy into that. And then just with the level of production alone on defense, I talked in yesterday's show when we were talking about the defense, that Notre Dame returns its top producer at every level of the defense. They return Boubacar Traore on the D-line. They return all 5 linebackers, and they return Brayante Johnson and Don Schuler, Leonard Moore, and Christian Gray in the secondary. So I'm there with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't talk enough about the defense, in my opinion, because obviously the splash and the excitement is the offense. Obviously, I'm excited to see what this offense can do, and there's obviously some question marks, going on with the offense right now. But the defense, I feel like a lot of people are taking it for granted because they're going to be amazing. And I think we're just like, yeah, defense is going to be great. Like, it just is what it is. It's like death, taxes, and Notre Dame's defense is going to be great. Like that. I think we've become almost numb to the fact that Notre Dame's defense is really, 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 really good. And so based on that, being complimentary, I think the defense is going to stop a lot of teams. I think they're going to hold them under, 15 points a game, something along those lines. And I think the offense is going to score upwards of 40 points a game, if not more. And so, I mean, that's the definition of complimentary. Obviously, if we're talking about complimentary offense, trying to get a happy medium between running the ball and throwing the ball. I think Denbrock is the right guy at the helm to do that. Obviously, he's got the quarterback that can do it. He's going to have the running backs and the offensive line to do it as well. So, I think the offense will be complimentary of itself, but I think the offense and the defense are going to be putting themselves and each other in great positions to be successful. And I believe that's probably where you were going with this, John. And I completely agree with you. I think that the defense is they're going to take a step in the right direction because, like we mentioned the other day, Texas A&M game, if the defense doesn't give up 40 plus, Notre Dame wins that game going away, right? Because they scored 40 plus or they scored 40 points. Like, you would assume if the offense can score 40, you're going to win that game. Bottom line. Yeah, I mean, that should be the case in every single game that Notre Dame plays. And so I think the defense is going to hold their end of the bargain. I don't think they're going to have a misstep like they did against Texas A&M. And I don't think they're going to have a misstep like they did against Miami and allow a garbage touchdown, that an amazing catch because it was misplayed in the air, all of those things I just don't see that happening. So I think the defense takes a step forward and just becomes super elite and will be in the conversation for best defense in the country. I think the offense is going to score a ton of points. So it's a definition of complimentary. I'm ready.
I mean, to your point, Vince, we started to see it last year a little bit. I mean, you said what? You want the defense to allow somewhere around 15 points per game?
Yeah.
I mean, the final 9 games of the regular season last year, and obviously not counting the Purdue game where they allowed 30 points, 24 in the first half. From Arkansas to the remainder of the regular season, the defense allowed 15.8 points per game.
There you go.
The offense set a modern-day record for points per game in a total season with 42 points per game. So I'm with you, man. We're already starting to see signs of it. Now we just have to see it from start to finish.
Yep, and that's the key, right? It's consistency from game 1 to game 12. We're only talking about the regular season, but consistency all the way through, not just games 2.5 to 12.
Right.
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 Yeah, that's what we need to see.
Obviously, how we normally do this is we're going to get through everybody at least once and then go back up to the top because we have a lot of questions in from similar or from the same member. But I've been waiting, Vince, to pull up a question from Vince Trowbridge, the VP of IB, when you and I have both been on a show. I've been waiting since they changed their handle to this.
That is fantastic. It sounds like a mutiny is what that sounds like.
Hey.
It says VP. It says VP, so that's vice. So the president is just fine. Yes. All right. If Byron Brown, Manning, Sayin, and Mestamaker all have the same production as last year, and Brown and Mestamaker make slight improvements to the weakest part of their games, what is 1 through 4?
Well, I think first we kind of have to address what the weakest parts of Byron Brown and Drew Mestamaker's games are. For Drew Mestamaker, I say it's his performance in big games. A lot of people want to go back and point to what he did last year over the course of the season, threw for 4,379 yards, 34 touchdowns, 9 picks. Of his 9 interceptions, 8 of them came against the 3 best teams that he played. He threw 2 interceptions in the bowl game against San Diego State. He threw 3 interceptions against Tulane in the AAC championship game, and then he threw 3 interceptions at home against USF. So for Drew, it's going to be about improving your performance in big games. For Byron Brown, it's just more consistency as a passer. Kind of similar to some of the things that we talked about with Riley Leonard. Mechanically, there's things that he has to work on. I've seen videos come out about Byron Brown's throwing mechanics. They're not the best. But that's also not his game. He's not a quarterback that needs to sit back in the pocket and rip you apart for 350 yards a game to be effective. I mean, Vince, you and I would talk a lot after post-game shows or during post-game shows about, hey, guys, like Riley Leonard is just going to be the quarterback that rushes for 90 and throws for 180. But if Notre Dame has a starting quarterback that accounts for 270 total yards of offense and 3 touchdowns, that's a good day in the office. And so I feel the same about Byron Brown. So assuming that they make those jumps, but it's the same production as last year, and with improvements to Brown and Mestamaker, I would probably go 1 Drew Mestamaker, 2 Byron Brown, 3 Arch Manning, and 4 Julian Sayin. Not that I don't think Julian Sain's going to be good. I think he's also going to improve year over year, but one, you always have the caveat of he has Jeremiah Smith. I don't put too much weight into that like I know some people do, but that is a factor. Nobody else on this list has a Jeremiah Smith. Maybe Arch Manning with Cam Coleman, but he has a little bit of ways to go. But that would be my order, Vince. What about you?
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to that breakdown. I think that's pretty good. And I think the key to this whole thing, when you put them in actual order and had Manning and Sayin at the bottom, it says same production as last year. And I think the big thing about Arch Manning specifically is that he needs to take a step in the right direction. Like he can't repeat his performance from last year. He can't. I just feel like if he repeats his performance from last year, Texas is going to be a 10-win team. They're not going to be able to take that next step. He needs to take a step forward. So in this question specifically, it says same production as last year for those two. So that's why I'm guessing as to why you put them where you put them.
I will add this caveat though about Julian Sayin. If Julian Sayin throws for 3,600 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 picks, averages 9.2 yards per attempt, and completes 77% of his passes that's against Texas on the road, Illinois at home, Iowa on the road, Indiana on the road, USC on the road, Oregon at home, Nebraska on the road, and Michigan at home, that would be very impressive if he's able to do that. Because last year, Ohio State's schedule in the regular season was not that great outside of the Texas game, in my opinion. Michigan, you always have that rivalry, but it was fine. You didn't face Oregon in the regular season. You didn't face Indiana in the regular season. You have the other top contenders in the Big Ten on your regular season schedule this year. If Julian Sayin puts up those type of numbers against that schedule, he would have a case, honestly, to be one. That's how I see Julian.
Okay, fair enough.
Super chat in here from our guy, Tyler Evans.
All right, Tyler, thanks for the super chat. Is there a team this year that you hope falls flat on their face this season? Me and my nephew are going to burn his Michigan stuff today. Hashtag happy life.
So, Vince, I know you weren't on the show. You were still doing summer school stuff, but Tyler a couple weeks ago put in a super chat that he's converted his nephew from being a Michigan fan to a Notre Dame fan.
Wow, that's putting in some work. I don't know how old his nephew is, but well done.
Get to him early. That's the biggest key. Get to him early. But Which team do I hope falls flat on their face?
I got a laundry list.
Go ahead, Vince. I'll pass it over to you first.
I mean, look, it's always Michigan. Like, it doesn't matter what the year is, what the circumstance is. The number one primary answer is always Michigan. I want to be very clear on that. Outside of that annual hatred, I'm gonna get a first class ticket on the Petty train, and I would love IU to fall flat on their face, and not necessarily because of IU specifically. I'm just so sick of the IU people who act like, they've had reserved tickets in the elite of college football for, a few decades, when, they're the new money. You know what I mean? They're the unsinkable Molly Brown money. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're annoying. You need to stop talking. But they're the reigning national champs. So, there's only so much shushing I can do. But it would be great if they fell on their face. I would very much enjoy that.
Yeah, let's see. On this list, where do I begin? Michigan's on that list for me. USC is on that list for me.
Yeah.
Them whining and trying to bring up revisionist history about how the Notre Dame series actually came to an end, and for them to, playing Notre Dame doesn't give us a good chance of being in the playoffs, which I agree, because it's basically a guaranteed loss over the last 15 years, if that's shown us anything.
Yep.
I would love nothing more for them to whine and scream and kick to get that game off their schedule, and they still fall flat on their face. USC is one of those for me solely, and this has nothing to do with the athletes or the players that play at Texas Tech, but because of everything that went on, and because of all of Joey McGuire's comments about taking the high road, and I know we're doing scumbag stuff, but other people do it too.
That was such a bad comment. That was such a bad answer to that question.
Terrible. Terrible. God. Do you know what other people don't do? Joey McGuire is make the playoffs, and I hope that that's on the docket for you as well this season. So they're on that list for me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't really have disdain for others. Like, I would include Penn State, but they've been kicked in the teeth so much lately with firing their head coach and hiring Matt Campbell and losing out on the recruiting trail to the coach that they just fired, that I don't really need for them to.
They could just be a 10-win team, and that's fine. That's Penn State. That's who they are.
Yeah.
I will say I agree with you on USC. I would love to see them just stumble through the Big Ten schedule. I would absolutely love to see that. I would say from the Texas Tech standpoint, I'm conflicted because obviously they're not on Notre Dame's schedule. Okay. I would love to play Texas Tech. Like, I would love to play them. And the only way to do that would be in the playoff.
That's fair. No, I get that completely.
You know what I mean? So, like, that's why I'm torn on the whole thing. It's like, I want them to be successful enough to get into the playoff, but I want a first round game at Notre Dame Stadium, and I want to beat the snot out of Texas Tech in Notre Dame Stadium. Now, realizing that if Notre Dame is playing a home game, they're not a top 4 seed. That's not ideal, obviously. And I don't know that if I want Texas Tech to make the second round. So I'm conflicted, right? But I want to play them so badly that just to shut up Joey McGuire, just to pound on their new quarterback, just all of it. Just all of it. I want to steal their wallet. I want to steal everything that they hold sacred down there. And the only way to do that is for them to play. So that's where I'm at. Now, I would not be upset if they went like 6-6. Like, that would not bother me in any way. But I would love for Notre Dame to give them their comeuppance for sure.
I get it.
Yeah. And some people are putting Clemson, a special mention to Clemson thing. I want Clemson to be good because Clemson's on Notre Dame's schedule for the next 10 years. Like, I want them to be good. It's why I always wanted USC to be good, because they were on Notre Dame's schedule and they make Notre Dame's schedule better. I don't want them to beat Notre Dame, but I want them to be relevant, and that's how I feel about Clemson now. They have taken the place as far as an opponent on Notre Dame's schedule of USC for me. Like, I want them to be better so that Notre Dame's schedule is better. So that's kind of where I'm at with Clemson.
No, I think that's very fair. Of, I guess you could say, the national championship favorites on FanDuel to win the title this year, the only one that I hope falls flat on their face up in these ranks, somehow USC is still in this contention right around like Oklahoma. USC and Michigan are right next to each other, which I just don't really understand.
It's wild
in the slightest.
Either
that's
one,
really
for
it.
that matter. I don't understand either one, but whatever.
No, there's Texas Tech is also on these rankings as well. Texas Tech has better odds on FanDuel to win the national title than Texas A&M and LSU and Ole Miss. I mean, here's my thoughts on Texas Tech. I feel like you have to be able to score a touchdown in the playoffs before you can be considered one of the contenders for the title. That's just me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty important, being able to score a singular point should probably be on that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm there. Another super chat from Big Hoss. Thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate you very much. Do you guys think Notre Dame has a chance to be ranked number 1 by the time they play BYU? Happy to catch a live mailbag. Go Irish. All right,
Big
I'll let you
Hoss,
take this one first. Go ahead.
Yeah. Big Hoss, I'm happy that you can catch a live mailbag as well. Do they have a chance to be? Sure, but they would need some stuff. I don't see Notre Dame being ranked as the number 1 preseason team.
Nope.
And it's not because I don't think that they should be or could be. It's just what the odds tell us is it's most likely either going to be Ohio State or Texas.
Yeah.
That would not shock me in the slightest. Because they have such a big, high octane matchup very early in the season. What they would need is for Ohio State, like one of the teams above them, to get knocked off. Because here's the other component to this, Big Hoss. Who is the opponent on Notre Dame's schedule that vaults them up in the rankings? They could beat Stanford 100-0, and that wouldn't affect their rankings. I mean, 2 weeks before they got left out of the playoffs, they beat a team 70-7 and scored 21 points before C.J. Carr and Jeremiah Love touched the field. So there's no opponent that they'll view of, hey, you know what? Like, this is worthy of being ranked number 1. So
right.
By the time they play BYU, probably not. By the time they play Miami, maybe.
But if they beat Miami, I think on November 9th, they got a great shot of being number 1. If they, that's being 8-0 and having BYU and Miami under your belt. You've got at least a resume to talk about at that point. If they start out at 3 behind Texas and Ohio State or whatever, I mean, one of those teams is going to lose, obviously, right? And one of them, so if Notre Dame is 3, for example, and Texas and Ohio State are 1-2, and that's who you said, right? That's who's competing for the number 1 spot. So if they're 1-2, and let's say Notre Dame is 3, obviously one of those teams is going to lose in week number 1. So that vaults Notre Dame to 2. So I think there's a decent chance that they could be number 2 at 6-0, but I don't see either Ohio State or Texas losing necessarily in the next 5 weeks. I haven't analyzed their schedule. Let's see, Ohio State schedule.
I got them all pulled up for you, Vince.
Okay. So Texas, obviously. Then they got Illinois, Iowa. Obviously, I skipped over Kent State. They've got IU, but isn't that the same day?
Yep, same weekend.
Yeah, so that's not going to help them any. So, yeah, I don't see Ohio State losing to any of those teams. What about Texas?
Texas hasn't. What would be ideal? The ideal situation is Notre Dame starts the preseason as the number 3 team. They handle business and decimate every team they play up until that point. And in the scenario that you laid out, it's Texas and Ohio State above them. After that, they play UTSA at home after they host Ohio State. And then they have Tennessee on the road. Then they have a bye. And then they get Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout.
Okay, the Red River Shootout. So if they beat Ohio State and then they lose in the Red River Shootout, that's the path for Notre Dame to be number 1 if Notre Dame starts at 3.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 2 games that you'd have to pay attention to. But you're asking an awful lot for that to be the case, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, but there's a chance. There's always a chance. Reds fan 78. What position group do you think will be the next one to have 2 first-round draft picks in the same draft? Well, you got to go from a quantity standpoint. So obviously it's not going to be quarterback. I really don't think it's going to be running back. I don't think it's going to be wide receiver. I think your best opportunity is either now. Are you considering corner and safety separate?
That's the biggest thing. It's as far as position, if we're being honest and evaluating it how they draft players, I'm separating corner.
Okay. Well, if you're doing that, then I think O-line is your best bet.
Agreed. if Gerby Lambert and Anthony Knapp come out in the same year, they are just going to be first-round draft picks in my eyes, barring like an injury setback or anything like that. And I don't even know if it's a guarantee that they go out in the 2027 NFL draft. So
right.
I would say 1A is offensive line. 1B, I would argue, is safety. If Tay Johnson has a season we think he's capable of. Now, what my hesitation with safety is that's just a devalued position in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Xavier Watts had 13 picks across 2 years, won the Bronco Nagurski Award, and went in the 3rd round.
And was like player of the week and like all these different things when he got there. Like a very valued player once he's on the team, but not valued in the draft, to your point.
Yeah, so I don't have any concerns about Brayante Johnson going in the 1st round because, I mean, he's going to put up numbers at the combine. He's going to be 6'2", long, rangy. I'm concerned that Adon Schuler could have a very productive season, and they'll look at him like they looked at Xavier Watts. Smart college player, lacks elite level tools, stuff like that. So you could argue safety, but you could also argue corner. Leonard Moore, chalk that up as a 1st-round draft pick. DJ McKinney has to also come out this year.
Yeah.
And I've seen mock drafts that have him going in the 1st round as well. So
okay,
it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Notre Dame has 2 in back-to-back years, 2 players taken in the 1st round. So, I mean, of the same position group.
That would be unbelievable.
I think that'd be spectacular. I'm with you.
And look, we all know that players that go to or that are on a very successful college team have a much better opportunity to get drafted high. So if Notre Dame goes out and wins a national championship, guys are going to get overvalued. And they're going to get drafted higher than they should. I mean, that's just how it goes. So that would also help this question. Tommy Guns makes an appearance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't we had a recent update on Q Porter, right? What's your confidence level with the boundary receiver depth?
I mean, there hasn't been a recent update, but unfortunately, we're kind of at the point of the offseason where, like, until we start to see them out in person, there's not really a big update to give.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get some personnel updates next Tuesday. At that kind of round table that Marcus Freeman does that apparently everybody already knows about. So we can put that out there. But like, it's some of that's off the record, some of that's on the record. So some of that stuff that's said in the room isn't necessarily going to leave the room, like that kind of a thing. So you have to respect that. Otherwise, we'll never get another roundtable again. And then there's a press conference on August 4th. And I think there'll be a lot of questions asked about injury status for guys, considering practice starts 2 days after that. So I don't think we're going to get an update really from a personnel standpoint until August 4th, at least publicly, if that makes sense. Like I think the round table media gathering will shed some light on some of those position battles and things like that, but I don't think that'll be allowed to be out. And so I think you'll get some more of that August 4th.
Yeah. What's my confidence level with the boundary receiver depth? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 7. You have 3 guys and Micah Gilbert, Cam Williams, and Quincy Porter, who are more than physically capable of contributing at the collegiate level.
Absolutely.
That I have no debate with.
Yep.
I will also say that one individual position needs the most growth from now to the start of the season. When I look at the other positions, especially in the receiving corps, there's questions about will it be Mylan Graham or Jaden Greathouse in the slot. Jordan Faison, are they going to move him to the slot, keep him at field? What do we see from Elijah Burris? But all 3 guys in contention to start at boundary all need to take jumps from where they were at going in.
Well, I'm not sure if
that was weird.
Are you there?
Yeah, I think
you were frozen on my end. I don't know if I was frozen on yours or what that looked like. So, okay.
Well, it was probably me. I'll take the onus there as the VP of IB. But dang, that's unfortunate. I was really spitting there for a second. So
you were talking about. So from what I heard, and I don't know if the people heard it, but from what I heard, you ended at the fact that those 3 guys need to take a step forward.
They do. And it's out of more than any position group on offense, it's all three guys. They're very much capable of it. I just don't know if it's going to be the production of boundary receiver by committee, by if it's going to be one guy, two guys, or what. But that's where I'm at with them, Tommy.
Coleman Smith, thoughts on Clemson this year? Is their window of being elite completely shut? Brian loves this topic about Clemson because he kind of predicted their downslide to a degree. I don't know if he would have agreed that it would have been what it has been. But what are your thoughts this year on the Tigers?
Dabo has to have a come to Jesus moment with himself. He's got to be able to look in the mirror and see where he can adjust in the modern day of college football, or he's going to be in the relic conversation of the guys that are like kind of always wanting to be around the conversation, kind of like an Iowa, where like they're always going to be like a 9-10 win team, but never truly in playoff or championship caliber contention. Now Clemson has the pedigree to continue competing for national titles. Dabo's one of only 4 active head coaches that have one. It's Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, and now Curt Cignetti. So he knows what it takes to get there from a program standpoint, like from an on the field, like this is what you have to do week in and week out to be able to win a title. He has 2 of them. Having said that, he needs to be able to adjust and be willing to adjust more to this current landscape. So in short, is their window of being elite completely shut? No, because I think in this day and age of the transfer portal, no top level program's window of being elite will ever be completely shut.
That's a good point.
I mean, we just watched the worst team perennially in college football history win a national title in 2 years after hiring a new head coach.
Yep.
So, and that's not me saying that Clemson's going to need a new head coach to win a national title. But Dabo has to have a long, good, hard look in the mirror and say, okay, am I willing to make these adjustments? Am I willing to run this program a little differently? That's how I view about Clemson. So is their window of being elite completely shut? No. But my thoughts on them this year, this is a big year for Dabo Swinney.
And it's interesting about Clemson because what was Clemson before Dabo took over? Like if Dabo's not the coach anymore, I tend to wonder, depending like that hire is going to be massive. Like that, if they move on from him or he moves on from them or whatever the case may be, I feel like that is going to, like all eyeballs are going to be on who that next hire is. Because Clemson wasn't really much of anything prior to Dabo, right? I mean, at least from an elite national standpoint. And they could very easily fall off the map with the wrong leadership. So I agree with you completely that he needs to kind of look in the mirror and adapt, just like Nick Saban adapted after 2012, from being like a run heavy, punch you in the mouth team to being a spread team, that kind of stuff. Like he's going to have to look in the mirror as far as the way rosters are constructed and programs are built and things of that nature. And so I'm fascinated at the Clemson saga and what will come of it for sure. Now, I think as long as Dabo is there, they'll be a 9 or 10 win team every single year. Maybe they'll blip up every now and again, like that kind of a thing. I don't know enough about them this year since they're not on Notre Dame's schedule. But I still think that they'll be, they're in the ACC. It's a winnable conference,
Very much so.
If they were in the SEC or the Big Ten, we might be having a different conversation, but they're still in the ACC. So even a quote unquote down Clemson under Dabo is still competing in the ACC, and as long as you can win your conference, you're nationally relevant. So, maybe that's not what Clemson people want to hear. But I think he'll still be, he's still relevant. Clemson's still relevant. Broke Neck Boy, since 2000, what would be Notre Dame's all-time opponent team? O-line and D-line could be a certain year to make it easier.
Oh,
that's 26 years of opponents.
Are we counting like postseason? Because you could just make a team of because off the bat, I'm going 2018 Clemson's defensive line would be the all-time opponent defense. That had Clellan Ferrell and Austin Bryant and Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence. I don't know if it gets better than that. So I would go Clemson's D-line, offensive line. All
right, you want to hear something that's going to make this super complicated?
Yes.
I just Googled how many unique teams has Notre Dame played since the year 2000. You want to venture a guess at how many different teams Notre Dame has played since 2000?
$326.
No, 76. 76.
I was thinking games.
76 unique teams, right? And that doesn't even include, obviously, the USCs and the Michigans and the whatevers that they've played multiple times. So, like, you're asking this is a pool of thousands of players.
All right.
But go for it.
All right. Here we go. And you guys are going to have to give me some liberties here. Please feel free to throw into the chat, like, if you think of anybody prior to 2005, right? Because, like, that's not up here all the way.
My goodness.
I will say this. Running back, I'll probably go Reggie Bush.
It's fair.
D-line, I know for a fact I'm going 2018 Clemson. Tight end. Oh, gosh. I mean, there's going to be so many from just the postseason. I mean, in 2020, they faced Devontae Smith, so he'll be in my...
Okay, well, tight end, you go with the kid from Penn State from 2 years ago.
Yep, Tyler Warren. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tyler Warren will go at tight end. My 3 wide receivers, I'll go Devontae Smith at Alabama from 2020. I'll go T. Higgins from Clemson in 18, I guess, or no, he was gone in 20. From T. Higgins from 2018. I'll also go year by year.
Hold on.
Gosh.
Let's see.
That's so tough. Let's see. The Alabama O-line in 2012, David Jason said in the chat. I would go with that. Another wide receiver I'd go with is Amari Cooper from Alabama in 2012. So my 3-man receiving core would be Amari Cooper in 2012, Devontae Smith from 2020, and T. Higgins from 2018.
Can I throw in Larry Fitzgerald?
Okay, yes, you can absolutely throw in Fitz.
Because he played for Pitt and he graduated in 03, so it counts.
Yeah. Okay, well then we'll go Larry Fitzgerald. Good night. We'll go...
I don't know who you're taking out at that point, but I feel like I need him in there.
Yeah, I'll take out T. Higgins in 18.
Okay.
So our receiving core is Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper, and Larry Fitzgerald.
Hold on. When they played Georgia State when Megatron was there.
Yeah, it's Broke Neck Boy just put it in, Calvin Johnson. The only thing I remember from Calvin Johnson in that game is Chinedum and Dukeway lit him up. I remember that. It was on like a deep post route. And Dukeway absolutely decleated him. But, I mean, he'd be in contention for sure.
He'd definitely be in contention because I think he got drafted in 07. So, yeah, he's definitely...
I mean, you could have a 2-man running back rotation of Reggie Bush and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, corners, you're talking about... I mean, you get Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. I mean, gosh, I think they faced A.J. Terrell at Clemson in 2018. I'm trying to think even more recently. I mean, it's kind of an easy cop-out, but one of the safeties, I'd say Caleb Downs from Ohio State. Quarterback, you could go, I mean, Matt Leinart from USC. You could go Trevor Lawrence from 18. You could go, oh, boy. There's a lot. Oh, yeah, Jalen Ramsey's one of the corners that they faced while at Florida State. Oh, yeah, Jameis Winston could be one of the quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot, Broke Neck Boy. Here's my ask. Put this same question on the message boards.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Because I won't, just in a mailbag setting, I'm not going to be able to do this justice. I want to be able to sit down and put together a full all-opponent team because this is a fantastic question.
I want Luke Kuechly at my middle linebacker.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed completely. I mean, you get Abdul Carter and Ruben Bain at defensive end. Assuming you wanted to do individual positions, just a 2018 Clemson D-line might be serviceable enough.
Yeah.
You know, or like the Clemson interior players with Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence, and your edge players are Ruben Bain and Abdul Carter. Good Lord. Yeah.
It's a lot of options here. That's the thing. Yeah. And I'm sure we're forgetting people too.
But, a lot of people, I guarantee.
But yeah, I mean, even with the people that we named, we just put together a hell of a team. So, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Matt Ryan is available at quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that I'm just trying to think of guys that came to Notre Dame Stadium that I was like excited to see in person. You know what I mean? Trevor Lawrence definitely falls under that category. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck, of course. That good call. Yeah. Acupuncture. Duh. Andrew Luck. Because I was thinking, like, we were mentioning tight ends. I was like, Stanford had a bunch of stud tight ends there for a while, when Harbaugh was there, because they ran 13 personnel like all the time.
Yeah. Oh, Richard Sherman as one of the corners.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He played at Stanford. I mean, you bring up a great point, Coleman. It says, but Notre Dame doesn't play anyone, right? Yeah, well, that's what that's what the good people say. The powers that be, I suppose.
Just throw Steve Angeli in at quarterback and call it a day.
Bang.
All right. Adam Garcia, on that note, has a new question. Who would be your top 3 teams with the best 5-year outlook ahead? And Notre Dame doesn't count. I'm throwing that part in.
Okay. Well, now I don't know how to answer it, Vince.
In my CFB 27 dynasty I'm doing, Marcus Freeman just got fired. So Notre Dame was not doing well. So
way to put that out there, Vince. Somebody's going to clip that. But anyways, okay, Notre Dame not included. I would probably, just off the top of my head, I'd say Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. By what all 3 programs are doing on the recruiting trail, those are 3 coaches that have, especially Dan Lanning, has shut down any NFL interest. I don't know what that interest is going to be for Ryan Day.
Sure.
And then Sark sounds like he's found a pretty somewhat final destination in Texas, a final destination at the collegiate level. I don't see him leaving Texas to go to a different college job
that he wants.
Right.
It could be not in his choice, because I think the expectations at Texas are abnormally high. And maybe they should be with how much money they put in and all of those different kinds of things. But if he is consistently on the outside looking in, I feel like they're going to push him out. But to your point, I think they are set up for success for the future. And I think regardless of who the head coach is.
Yeah, those would probably be my 3 programs off rip. I saw somebody in the chat put in IU. Maybe I need to see them get away from.
I'm not ready to go there yet. I'm not ready to go there yet. They're still not really doing it in recruiting. Now, they don't necessarily have to. I said last year, they did it from the portal 1 year. Can they continue that trend? They did it in year 2, right? Can they continuously do that year in and year out? I don't know. We're going to have to see, but I would not pick them as my top 3 teams to be, at the top of the heap 5 years from now.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Another team I could see. Yeah, no, I'm sticking with Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. If we can't go with Notre Dame, if we can go with Notre Dame, I would probably replace Texas with Notre Dame. That's probably where I'd go.
From Sean Stewart, you're the OC in a critical down and distance, and your go-to players are Floyd, Fuller, Eifert, Love, and Tate. Who are you going to?
I always love these questions because my mind immediately goes to what's the score? Who's my
Where are
opponent?
we on the field? What is the down and it says critical? What is it? Is it 4th down? We don't get this, the game is over. Need more.
To do justice to the question here, and we'll round out part 1 of today's mailbag with this. Let's say it's 4th quarter in a tie ball game against Miami on November 7th. Tie game. Notre Dame has 1 final offensive possession, and it's 3rd and 9 from Notre Dame's own 32-yard line. Just to set the stage. My go-to player in this situation would probably be Michael Floyd. like he exhibited a level of dominance when he was on the field that I just had. I mean, he has Notre Dame's all-time single season receptions record. Like he's their all-time leading receiver. He was just a matchup nightmare. Mm-hmm. I mean, my pick would probably be Michael Floyd. Like if it's a critical down and distance, like if it's 3rd and 9, like and we need it to put ourselves in position, I would go Michael Floyd. What about you?
No, I like that. It's a really good one. I agree with you. Michael Floyd was ahead above others when it comes to 50-50 balls and all of those kinds of things. And by the way, they did not give me the quarterback in this scenario, so I don't know if the quarterback can throw deep on a consistent basis. Because I would be tempted to go deep to Fuller, but they're probably going to bracket him, I would imagine, and not let him go deep. I would also be tempted to just hand the ball off to Love, but I don't know what kind of offensive line I have either. But so yeah, I would fall to Floyd as well, with a nod to Fuller potentially if they're bracketing Floyd and Fuller's open on the other side, a little backside post action. And if they want to go one-on-one, with Fuller, then I'm going to Fuller. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the defensive situation and what's going on there.
We got the Friday Free-For-All Mailbag going on here on the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You guys have been bringing the heat with some of these questions so far. A lot of good ones. We've already had one question in where we had to get it kicked over to the premium message boards just because look, man, it was a good question. We just didn't have enough time allotted. Great question, though, by Broke Neck Boy. Getting us kicked off here, we have T. Hannah Ozarts.
Here we go. If the CFB from result last year doesn't need to be the same, but could be, do you like Notre Dame's odds of making the CFP better last year with the same game results, or this year with one loss to Miami?
So if the college football playoff from results last year doesn't need to be the same. I get Vince, how are you interpreting this question?
The beginning is very confusing. So the way I took the question was the last part. Is Notre Dame able to get in with one loss to Miami this year? Like to me, that's the question.
I mean, I think a one-loss Notre Dame team is a lock for the college football playoffs, in my opinion. Because take this year, for example, if they lose to Miami, they would still have wins over BYU or SMU. However, that would not be as strong as if they have one loss, but one of those losses is not to Miami. Say they beat Miami and beat SMU, but lose to BYU. It's something like that. I'd feel much more confident in that. Now, here's the caveat. I have no idea. I have no idea what the college football playoff committee will do if Notre Dame is sitting at like 10th at the end of the year. Because everybody talks about, the MOU and how Notre Dame is guaranteed to be in the playoffs if they rank in the top 12. Well, that's assuming the playoff committee ranks them in the top 12. So that's where I'm at with this one, T. Hannah. I think Notre Dame is a lock for the playoffs with just one loss. Because the issue they ran into last year is they lost to the two best teams that they played. If Notre Dame goes 2-1 against Miami, BYU, and SMU, they would have beaten two of the three best opponents that they played, unlike last season where they went 0-2 against the two best. So that's where I'm at with that one. I think Notre Dame gets in.
I do too. I mean, a one-loss Notre Dame team, obviously, probably either starting out hosting a game or on the road, but they're in. I mean, I just don't see a scenario where they're out with one loss. You can talk about Notre Dame's cupcake schedule all you want, and a one-loss Notre Dame team is getting in. So I just don't feel like that's going to be an issue at all. I'm sure there'll be some sort of a conversation, and they'll probably put Miami and Notre Dame in the same conversation again, blah, 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 depending on what Miami does, obviously. But I just don't see a world where a one-loss Notre Dame team is not in the playoff. And I would say that about most top-level teams. I don't see a world where a one-loss Ohio State or Texas or Oregon or, pick your top-level team. I don't see a world where one loss keeps them out. I just don't.
No, not in a 12-team playoff format. I mean, that could have been the case in, 2023, the last year of the 4-team playoff. But, yeah, man, I'm with you completely.
And Matthew Irick says even with two losses, they're a top 12 team. I don't know about that because of the strength of schedule.
It depends on who they lose to. The benefit of Notre Dame playing their toughest opponents from October 17th to the end of the year is that they're going to have the opportunity to pick up some really notable wins in the back half of the season. I mean, their game against Miami and their game against SMU, I believe, will be after the playoff committee releases their first rankings. So that's going to be a big benefit in Notre Dame's favor. Having said that, I think the more difficult piece to that is the fact that if they lose some of those games later in the season, what's the game that helps them rebound? You know what I mean? Like for last year for Notre Dame, like they were not still ranked inside of the top 10 after they lost to Texas A&M, but they had 10 games remaining to continue building up a resume. Whereas you lose to Miami, let's say you lose to BYU and Miami. Are you really banking on SMU being that game
to carry you through? Yeah, I don't.
Because outside of that, you got what? Navy, Boston College, Syracuse, and SMU.
Right.
That's not a place that you want to be.
And that whole, Notre Dame's automatically in if they're in the top 12 nonsense. They'll be 13. Like that means nothing. The human beings are still in charge of ranking them wherever they want. It's great that we have a memo of understanding that if Notre Dame's in the top 12, they're automatically in. Great. That's awesome. That only comes into play if they're literally ranked 12th. That's it. That's the only time that will come into play because of the automatic bid to the group of 16. So what are the odds that if they're on the bubble that the committee is like, oh, let's just put them at 12 and then they'll no, they're going to put them at 13 and be like, oh, well, sorry, they were the 13th best team and, they don't get in. So I think 2 losses, the whole point of everything that Marcus Freeman has said and done on this New York tour and all off season, leave no doubt. Do not leave it into the hands of the committee because they left it in the hands of the committee last year. And both Texas A&M and Miami were better teams than Miami is this year, in my opinion. And anybody that's second, BYU this year, like those will be worse losses this year than they were last year, and they got bumped out last year. So like that's where I'm at with this whole thing. If they have 2 losses, I think they're out. And I don't know that it'll be all that close. And we'll all be pissed off in December when that happens. And we'll all try to figure out how they get in and what's the path and all of those different things. But if they leave it to the committee again, I just don't like Notre Dame's chances.
Yep. CJ Carr had a pretty cool line that Lauren Landau gave him in the weight room. And I guess early on in Lauren Landau's career, he was big into like fighting.
Yeah.
Like boxing, UFC and stuff. And he was like, the best fighters didn't leave it up to the hands of judges. And I think that is a bar. I think that's awesome.
That's freaking great. And it's so true. Like, don't leave it up to them. Don't leave it into the hands of the committee. That's what they did last year, and they got bumped.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Joseph Parr. Hey, Brian. Did you hear Malik Zaire go off on Brian Kelly last night on Lucky Lefty? It was great. What made it better is this was one of his former players going off on him. I can imagine that adds a little extra something to it. But I did not hear it. And Brian's not here to say and Brian doesn't listen to other people's stuff. So I highly doubt that he heard it. But he'll be back on Monday and you can ask him.
Hint, put it in a buy sell hold.
Yeah, right. Aiden Benami, how much money to interview Scum BK? Or like me, no money at all is worth giving him a platform to try and smooth his wasted time at Notre Dame. Look, neither Trevor nor I make the decisions on who gets interviewed on this podcast, number one. Number two, I have known Brian for the better part of a decade, and actually more than that. I also know that none of his decisions that he has ever made from a business standpoint has ever had anything to do with money. And so that would not even be part of the conversation. And then based on what I think he would do, I would say it wouldn't matter. Money would not be an object here.
Also, the exchange of money would not be this way. Like if it would be Irish Breakdown would have to pay Brian Kelly money to come on to this show. It's not Brian Kelly paying Irish Breakdown money. So in that sense, Brian Driscoll would not do it for the price of on the house to have Brian Kelly on this show. Let's put it this way. That's where I could guarantee you he would be at.
No, not a chance. And even if Brian Kelly decided to pay Brian Driscoll to have him on the show. No amount of money would make that happen. So it's just not going to happen. So, but great question. Great question. Jake from Illinois, not State Farm. How are you planning on having any meetups before games this year? November 7th seems like a great date.
If my memory serves me correctly, I know that they're doing something, I believe, for the Miami game. I also think they're doing something for Michigan State. Now, this is all the more reason to be a premium message board subscriber at boards@irishbreakdown.com. All of those updates will be published on there. Jake, if you're not, I would definitely hop on the premium boards. A lot of great stuff happening over there right now. But yes, I know that Irish Breakdown is planning, but a lot of it revolves around like Brian's parents coming to town and help him host it and put it all together, because that'd be a lot on his plate if he had to plan all of that by himself.
Right. He doesn't do it without his folks.
Yep. So they obviously come in from out of town. So, but I do know as of today, the plan is they have multiple meetups scheduled, like legitimate tailgates scheduled over the course of the season.
Yeah, there are. And I want to say Miami was one of them, but I don't know that for a fact.
I do know Miami for a fact. The other one that I'm not sure about is Michigan State.
Okay. That would make sense. Yeah, I feel like it was like 2 games in a row or something along those lines, but because it could be the Rice-Michigan State combo, or it could be Miami-Boston College. I can't remember exactly, which one is which, but there will be, and it'll be announced probably the week of, or, something along those lines, I would imagine.
Vince, I'm going to ask this question to you. I will get your thoughts. From Mohammed Abdi, is it true this is the highest Notre Dame has been ranked in the preseason since 2006? And was the expectation as high going into the 06 season?
Man, well, the expectation going into the 06 season was massive. I can definitely tell you that. Let's see. I can't remember. What are the preseason rankings for Notre Dame football for every year going back to 2006?
They were number 2 in 2006, if my memory serves me.
Listen, they were the cover of Sports Illustrated. The hype was off the chain. There's no doubt about it. So I've got every single one here in front of me. They went, number 2. They were number 2, unranked, 23, unranked, 11, 17, 11, 10, 12, 14, 9, 10, 9, 5 in 22, 13 and 23, 7 and 24, 6 and 25. So they obviously haven't been since 2006. They've ranked as high as I think that they will be ranked. Even if they're 4 or higher, that's going to be the highest they've been since 2020 or 2006. And I seem to remember the hype even felt more palpable in 06 than it did, probably because of the Brady Quinn, Jeff Samardzija, just media frenzy that I don't think surrounds this particular team. You know what I mean? Like, you had the Bo Jackson poster with Jeff Samardzija with the baseball bat and the football pads, and then you had those guys on Sports Illustrated, and you had, like, it was just different. It was a different feeling. We didn't have social media back then. So it was just all like print media and stuff like that. And those guys were everywhere. And I feel like this year it's spread out amongst a handful of teams. It's not just Notre Dame. So I think the hype was bigger in 06 personally.
Whoops. If my memory serves me correctly, I also agree. I do also think that it's 2006. And one of the biggest reasons for that is when we talk about the resurgence in 2005 and 2006, that's not just fun to say. They were not great under Bob Davie and Tyrone Willingham. And the level of play and the product that Notre Dame put out on the field in 05 and 06 was something that Notre Dame fans hadn't seen in like half a decade, right? Arguably since Lou left. And so when you compare that to now, Notre Dame played for a national title 2 years ago. They went on a 10-game win streak to end 2025. So the expectations are just as high, in my opinion. Notre Dame was expected to compete for a title in 06. They're expected to compete and or win a title in 2026, kind of fitting that it's like 20 years apart. like I've said before, they're one of the favorites on FanDuel to win the national title this season. But, when I start comparing it to where it was at back then, it's just Notre Dame was coming out of a really dark place at that point in time. And they've already made it out of that dark place. So, Vince, I agree with you completely.
From T-Bone75, Trevor, what is your golf handicap?
2 years ago, I was like a plus 12, 13. I was a pretty decent golfer back in the day. And I think I have this app called the Grint, and it tracks like your scores every round and if you hit or miss a green and all that stuff. I played 57 rounds of golf in 2024. I have played since then, I think 11 since 2024. And that includes 2 golf outings with Vince. And so it is nowhere near close to that anymore. I would say a generous 20 handicap. I still shoot sub 100 if I go out on any given day, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. The golf handicap in question needs to be our guy Dylan.
Yeah.
That guy's
he plays a lot of golf these days. Yeah. I always tell everybody, he's a kicker, obviously. And kickers and starting pitchers, they're usually pretty good golfers because they don't have a lot of responsibilities like every other player on their said teams. You know what I mean? So like this kid over here, and he can hear everything I'm saying because he's on the other side of the wall playing college football 27. During fall camp, they'll have like meetings and position meetings and offensive meetings and defense, all the different things. And then they practice for 2 hours. He literally goes to practice and then goes and plays golf while everybody's at meetings. Like that's what he does. And it's just like starting pitchers is like, okay, they've got their day before where they're, doing stuff, working up to it. And they got the day that they pitch. And then they got like 3 days where they got nothing to do. So they go out and hit the links. Like that's specialists and starting pitchers, man. I'm telling you, they're all good golfers. There's so many good stories about the pitching staff for the Atlanta Braves. That Glavin and Maddox and like that whole group and how they would all go golf together all the time. Like this is what they do. They got nothing else to do. And they're, elite athletes and they're good at what they do. And my son is turning into that. So it is what it is. He's obsessed. What can I say?
He came across my TikTok the other day. I was scrolling through and I was just like college football highlight, food recipe. That guy looks like Dylan. That is Dylan. And I was like, what the? Yeah, it was funny.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah,
he's famous now. You got to tell him.
He's something. He's fill in the blank. He's something. Bees are 12 washing beard. Since the season is almost upon us, what is your game day ritual? And what must you do every Saturday? It's a great question. I'm curious to hear where you go with this.
So I'm a very ritualistic person when it comes to Notre Dame football.
Figured you would be.
I've done the exact same thing every single year. So at the start of every season, I go to Yankee Candle. And they sell these like shamrock candles that are scented like grass. So I buy one of those every August.
You are the only person on that list of people that buy candles that smell like grass.
100%. I know that I am. It's yeah, I know it, man. I know it. So I've been doing that for years, really since I got to college. So really the last decade I've been doing that. And then I have to eat scrambled eggs, toast, bacon on game day. That's my game day breakfast. And then I'll go get a lift in because like I feel like I got to be doing something to get ready for the game. I mean, there's 100 other guys, 125 other guys getting ready, to go, and they're getting ready to go to war. I need to prepare myself to go to war. So there's that. And then after that, get in the living room, get the candle all set up, swear to go. And then the newest ritual I have is, do you remember the towels, the yellow rally towels I handed out for the playoff game?
I've got it hanging in my office. Yeah.
That is my new, I call it my throw towel. Because if I'm watching a game, it used to be my phone where if a bad play happened, I don't throw my phone to celebrate because I expect to be successful on any given play.
Yep.
So if a bad play happens, I would just be like sitting there with my phone, and then I'll just like toss it to the side. And then one time I cracked my phone screen.
I was going to say that probably ended poorly. Yeah.
Yep, it did. So now I have my towel.
It's yellow like a penalty flag.
Yep. So that's my game day ritual.
That is very specific. I'm very impressed by that.
Thank
you. I don't have as much of a ritual as I used to. So back in the day, I used to do more ritualistic things. I would get to campus early. I would walk a certain path through campus to make sure I hit certain things. I always went past the dorm that was playing Rudy music. You know, I would do a very specific path because we used to have to park on the north side of campus and then walk, which was fine because I loved walking through campus on a fall day. Like, it was amazing. So like I would get there early. I would walk through campus. I would tailgate a little bit and meet my friends and things of that nature. Then I would go up into the press box, and they used to have porta pit chicken in the press box. And there would just be a dude with a giant rubber glove, and you'd walk up with a plate and he'd just grab a half a chicken and throw it on your plate.
Was it like, Nelson's?
Yes, it was Nelson's porta pit chicken, dude. And I would not get myself a Nelson's porta pit chicken until Notre Dame scored a touchdown. Like, that was always my ritual. And there were a couple of games where it was like, I'm kind of hungry here, and the offense is sputtering. Like, this isn't good. But I would always wait to get my porta pit chicken until Notre Dame scored a touchdown. So that was my big thing. Nowadays, my Saturdays are a little bit more busy because I'm usually going up to Hillsdale and then driving back for Notre Dame because they both play games on the same day. But when I'm at games, Brian and I have a ritual. We go out to the patio area. So like, there's the press box, and on either side is an open patio area. Now, the one side we're not allowed to go to because that's all the rich people, but the other side is open to the media. And he and I will go out there for Notre Dame's first possession, for kickoff, I should say, every single game, and we'll stay out there for a decent amount of time. And so, like the beginning of the Syracuse game, for example, like, we were out there almost the entire first quarter because we couldn't believe what was happening. We stood out there for the IU Notre Dame game, first round of the playoff, and just hearing, because you get, when you're in the press box, and you've been in there, when you're in there, you can hear the crowd, but the windows aren't open. So like, sometimes they have little transoms open, but those things are like a foot by 2 feet. Like, they're very small. And so, but if you're out on the patio, you can really get a feeling of what the stadium feels like and sounds like. And it's friggin' awesome. And I love doing that. That is my ritual as of right now. Actually, there's let's see if I can find it here real quick. No, but that's my ritual with Brian now, because, and I haven't been able to go to as many games as I've wanted to go to, just because of, Dylan's games and things like that. And this is a finite amount of time. And Brian has basically told me, like, dude, you need to go to as many games as you possibly can, which obviously I appreciate, because he's not going to be in college forever. And I'll be able to do Notre Dame football for a long time. But yeah, here we go. So here's a picture. Let's see if I can to share this. My son was at a game. It was after his season was over, and he saw us up there before the game started. And so he snapped a picture of us. So there's the picture of Brian and I standing out. This was in November. But I got to share it. I'll add to the stage. There we go. So there's a picture of Brian and I standing out on the patio, waiting for the game to start. I think that was the Syracuse game, actually. But we go out there every single game and we watch. So that's my only ritual really going on right now. So now, when I'm at home, I watch games in the basement by myself. Nobody's allowed to watch with me because they're just, they bother me. They bother me, and I say things I shouldn't say is what ends up happening. So,
yeah, Dude, that Nelson story is still getting me, dude. That's so funny. I'm just picturing you sitting up in the press box in like Notre Dame Louisville 2020 where they didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter. You're just sitting there all mad.
Dude, like I would get hangry, Trevor.
That's so funny, bro. That's so funny. The only other part of my ritual that I forgot to mention was I wake up, and she has grown accustomed to tolerating it because I don't think she'll ever like it. I wake up Lauren every morning, every game day morning to I'm shipping up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys. Like loud. Like not like I like wake up and roll over. Like I hook up a Bluetooth speaker and play it.
Oh, and I'm sure she loves you for those days.
Oh, she does. She's a trooper. She's fantastic about it. And then Insured by Big, to answer your follow-up question, what do I tell myself when my rituals don't work and Notre Dame loses? Same thing that the team tells themselves after they lose. There's an area I could have prepared better, and there are things that I'll have to go back and evaluate. And, you know, nothing is under – we're turning over every rock to see where I could have done better. That's where I hear that. Another one from Insured by Big here.
All right, biggest concern for the 26th season. Biggest potential hindrance to not winning the Natty this year, weakest position group. And he says he's the negative Nancy today.
Well, appreciate you, Nancy. My biggest concern for 26, probably that they lose sight of their goals. Like one of the biggest concerns that I have is there's so much this offseason about revenge tour and leave no doubt and the playoff snub. And my fear is that they're able to exercise all of those demons through the month of September by beating up on a bunch of mediocre to bad football teams. And then they get into October when they play North Carolina on the road and Stanford at home and BYU on the road, and like the fire's kind of gone. So that's a concern that I have, is like there's been so much over the last 7 months, and will really be like 8.5 months until the season gets here, really 9, that it's, you know, all this revenge tour and the playoff snub, and that should have been us, and those demons get exercised early. The biggest potential hindrance to not winning a Natty, in my opinion, with how I view Notre Dame's roster being constructed, man, the biggest hindrance is there could just be a better team.
Yeah.
I mean, I have full confidence in saying that I bet Alabama and Alabama fans in 2019 were like, we think we have the best roster in the country. We got Tua coming back, and we got Najee Harris and Devontae Smith and Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs and Jalen Waddle and Pat Surtain on defense and Trayvon Diggs on defense. Jordan Battle comes back. And then LSU 2019 became a thing.
Right.
You know, I don't know if there's a weakest position group. I would say that there is a most inexperienced position group. I would probably say tight end would be my answer there. This is the first year in quite some time that Notre Dame hasn't started a season that's like, this guy is the clear-cut number one. Going into 2025, it was like Eli Raridan's just going to be the dude. Going into 23 and 24, it's like, well, it's just going to be Mitch Evans. You know, obviously, when Michael Mayer came to town, it's just going to be Michael Mayer. So those would be my answers to that. What about you, Vince?
Tight end was definitely my position group. Get that out of the way right away. Biggest concern would be Ash and repeating the first couple of games of last year. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's my biggest concern. And then the biggest hindrance, like you said, I completely agree. It's that there's just a better team out there. There's just a deeper team, a better team, a team that's more on a roll when they get to the playoff. And then they just get beat. I mean, this is sport after all. I mean, you have to settle it on the field, and you can play your best game and still get beat. I've done that many times, right? And coach teams that they played at the best of their ability, and we still got beat, you know, and that's my biggest, I think that's the biggest hindrance right now is that, you know, I would have said maybe Marcus Freeman's inexperienced, but he's coaching a national championship game. And so I don't see that as a knock anymore. I don't see that as a hindrance anymore. He's coached in big games. He's won big games. He just hasn't won the biggest game yet. You know, he won a game in New Orleans where there was a national tragedy the day before, and the game got bumped, and he had to deal with all of that, and they still went out and won a football game. Like,
while out coaching Kirby Smart,
correct.
Not like it was
like start to finish, start to finish. You know what I mean? And so I don't have concerns about Marcus Freeman as the head coach anymore. You know, from just being ready, having his team ready, you know, things like that. And I'll be honest with you, another big concern of mine is still the losing to a team you shouldn't lose to. Like, that's still there. That's still just knocking around in the back of my head. The Northern Illinois of the world, the Marshalls of the world, like all of that. Now, should that be a legitimate concern at this point? Probably not, considering the way Notre Dame played the final 10 games of last season. But there was also some extra motivation that they had to win every single game. If they go out and they beat Wisconsin, they beat the doors off of Wisconsin. And again, I just don't even want to speak this into existence. So I'm not even going to say it. But like, you understand where I'm coming from. You win the first game and then you come back home and, and so like, that's still a concern. It's probably not a legitimate one, but it's still in my head. So I wanted to bring it up.
Totally fair. No, I get that completely.
Yeah. Notre Dame villain. Ooh. I think Houston was shock people this year and beat some teams, will surprise people. And I think you're a dark horse in the Big 12. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really high on Houston this year. I mean, they went from being, I think, a 4-8 team in 2024, and they were a 9-win team last year with Willie Fritz and Connor Wegman coming in. I absolutely think that they're a dark horse. They play. We're not going to have to wait long to find out about Houston. They play Texas Tech on the road on Friday, September 18th. That's one of the most underrated matchups of the college football season, in my opinion. They should be undefeated going into that game, but there's a chance that Houston leaves the month of September 3-1 because they get Oregon State at home, Southern at home, and then Texas Tech on the road, and then Georgia Southern on the road to end September. And then after that, they get USF at home. They get UCF at home, Kansas State on the road, Oklahoma State at home, Utah on the road, Cincy at home, back-to-back road games against Colorado and West Virginia, and they finish out at Baylor. So this is a very manageable schedule. There's a world where Houston goes 10-2, with a loss to Texas Tech on the road and maybe Utah on the road, run the table in all others, put themselves in contention to compete for the Big 12 championship. So I'm with you. I really like Houston's outlook this season.
Not much I can add to that conversation. I appreciate the knowledge on Houston. Love that. Money Bag Jake. What golf course in Jackson did you guys do the outing at? That's where I live. Well, Money Bag Jake. The answer to that question is very simple. It was Arbor Hills Country Club is where we went in Jackson, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I will say this. It is the level of country club that I would probably belong at. It's not like ritzy, like, over the top, hoity-toity, nose in the air kind of a place. It was like it felt like a down to earth, like it was private, and you could tell by the way the course was kept. But it also felt more working man, if that makes sense.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun. This is the second year in a row that we've done it. We got better from year 1 to year 2, and we're looking for some more improvement from year 2 to year 3. So, here's hoping. Matthew Wyrick, out of all the freshmen on offense, Bubba Frazier, Ian Premer, and others, who can make an immediate impact? Also, when do you think they could insert into a role where we see them early and often?
I think Ian Premer with a strong fall camp has the ability to make an immediate impact. It would not shock me at all if he makes the road trip to Wisconsin up at Lambeau and then he gets some playing time there. That would not shock me in the slightest. Now, is it going to be as their number one pass catcher? I don't know the answer to that question. He has the opportunity to, but the room, even though I just got done saying it's pretty wide open, it's deep. The reason why it's wide open isn't because they're just kind of throwing their hands up in the air and it's like, I don't know if any of these guys are going to be good enough. In fact, I think it's the opposite. It's between Cooper Flanagan and James Flanagan and Ty Washington and Jack Larson and Preston Frizzell, who was there as an early enrollee, and then obviously with Premer's presence. I think they're looking for somebody to seize hold of the job, and somebody doesn't win it by default. Bubba Frazier could also make an immediate impact, but maybe not necessarily on offense. I mean, he could be Notre Dame's starting kickoff return man, with the departure of Jadarian Price. But there's going to be a role for him. I would say sometime during the month of September, I could see Bubba Frazier carving out a role where he's in some sort of personnel package and And he has the ability to come in, run some jet sweeps, get some tunnel screens. They're not going to use him and bring him in to be a blocker on the perimeter if they got Kedron Young in there at running back. I know that. But yeah, that's what I would say, Matt, is there's the opportunity for them to carve out immediate roles. As far as who else can make an immediate impact, that one's going to be a little bit more tough. Devin Fitzgerald was the talk of the town in spring, understandably so. He was making a bunch of plays. If we go back for fall camp and he's making those same plays against Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary and Leonard Moore and DJ McKinney and Christian Gray, then we might actually have something cooking here. But having said that, until he shows that he does that against the top tier competition on Notre Dame's defense, I'm not ready to say, yep, just throw him in there. He's going to be ready to go. And I'm ready to predict that he's going to beat out one of Micah Gilbert, Cam Williams, or Quincy Porter. I'm not there yet, but he definitely has the opportunity to do that. And then outside of that, I could see Grayson McHugh working his way up into the 2 deep at left tackle at some point over the season. The fascinating thing about Notre Dame's roster this year is I don't think position battles are going to be done at the conclusion of fall camp. I think it's going to be an ongoing evaluation as the season goes on. So really good question, Matt. Along with Bubba Frazier and Ian Premer, those are some of the other guys that I could see in contention. From Andre Tonsel, do you believe that some athletic directors in college football have more power than presidents at some universities? Potentially. I think depending on the school and the program, I think some athletic directors they kind of carry a bigger proverbial stick, I guess, if that's kind of what you're looking for here, Andre. Like, I would have to imagine that the athletic director, like Pete Bavacqua at Notre Dame, would have more of an influence at activities that go on at the school more than like the athletic director at Western Kentucky. So yeah, I do think there's some validity to this, but I don't know if it's just strictly like at every premier school, so that's how I view that, but definitely a possibility. So this question is from Coleman Smith. Technically, it's for Vince, but he had to step away for a second. So it's Vince, what happened to IB Nation Sports Beat? Haven't seen it since early last week. So IB Nation Sports Beat with Sean Stiers and Jesse Stiers, and obviously Vince is on that show as well. Brian and I will hop in from time to time. Believe the Stiers are on vacation this week, and so they haven't been able to do the show. And then it's just too difficult for us to double up and do multiple shows a day. So with that, the magazine coming out, again, all the more reason to hop onto the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. Get your IB preseason magazine. That's what's been going on with IB Nation Sports Beat, but I believe it'll be back. One from Beezer12 Washingbeard. If what we assume about the SEC before NIL, Bama in particular, paying players not actually participating in class, turns out to be undeniably true, does it hurt the legacy of Nick Saban? Not overly, in my opinion. I mean, big picture in the NFL, was Bill Belichick's legacy hurt by the cheating scandal and using drones to watch other people's practices, or Deflategate? I know Deflategate's a funny joke, but I mean, it hasn't hindered people from saying that they believe that Bill Belichick is still one of the best to ever coach in the National Football League. If it comes out, it's going to be unfortunate, but no, because I don't think that necessarily impacted the product that we saw on the field from Alabama. That's how I view this one, Bees. I still watched Notre Dame lose to Alabama twice in the postseason, and I don't think that's just because they were hoarding players and paying players. Alabama and the SEC also weren't the only conference to have done this. If you dig deep enough between any major program in the mid 2000s to throughout the 2010s, wouldn't surprise me if something came out about Florida State. We obviously know the whole tattoo thing with Ohio State and, the Michigan cheating scandal in 2023. But I think the only thing that damages people's legacy is cheating on the field. I personally do not look at Michigan's national title season in 2023 with any sort of validity. You cheated to get there. I don't care what you did. Do not care what you did after the cheating scandal was over. And yeah, sure, you still had to go out and win it in the playoffs. I still don't. It is a national championship season with an asterisk. That's how I view Michigan. But with stuff behind the scenes, it's disappointing to hear everybody knew that it was going on and happening. So no, I don't think it damages his legacy. Personally, that's how I view that one. From Sean Stewart. What rivalry game would you like to see in person, and which one would you like to see come back, excluding Notre Dame rivalries? Oh, excluding Notre Dame rivalries, Bedlam coming back, I think, would be awesome for the sport. What rivalry games would I like to see in person? I would love to see any of the big ones, like going to the Red River Shootout in person would be dope. I think going and seeing the game, Michigan versus Ohio State in person would be awesome. Iron Bowl in person would be great. Tennessee, Bama in person would be awesome. Gosh, I mean, it's easy. It'd be easy for me to go to, like not one that's like crazy on my checklist, but like I've lived in Indiana my whole life, so like going and seeing the battle for the Old Oaken Bucket between Indiana and Purdue, I think would be cool. If I knew Purdue wasn't going to lose by 1,000,000 points when they would play in that game. I don't know. Let's see. What are some of the other ones people in the chat are bringing up? Yeah, Texas A&M, Chris. That's a good one. I think that would be a fun game to go see. I think Georgia, Florida would be a really cool rivalry to go see. What's the rivalry that's good old-fashioned hate? Is that Penn State, West Virginia? I don't remember if that's the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah, Fighting Mike said USC, UCLA at the Rose Bowl. That one could be interesting as well. So a lot of good potential ones in here to see. Vince, what about you? What rivalry game would you like to see come? What would you like to see in person, and which one would you like to see come back, excluding Notre Dame rivalries?
So the one I would love to see the Red River Shootout in person. I think that would be unbelievable. Number one, it's in a place of the country that I've never really visited before. And so I'd love to just be down south and be around Southern football. But that one is just like the orange on one side, the red, maroon, whatever on the other side. Like that's an intense rivalry, and one that I think would be so much fun to go see. I actually have no desire to go to Michigan, Ohio State. That one just does not intrigue me in any way. I'm trying to think of other ones. I would actually enjoy going to USC, UCLA because I love the jersey combination that they have, where they both wear their home jerseys. Like from a jersey standpoint, that's like the number one game on my list. Like the powder blue and the red and the gold of US, like that combination is just legit. Like I would love to go to that game. And on top of that, again, that's in a part of the country that I've never really visited before, so that would be a lot of fun to go to LA. Well, I don't know if fun may be the right word, but it would be an experience to go to LA and experience that game. And I would want to go if it was in the Rose Bowl, not necessarily if it was in the Coliseum. Because I would really like to visit the Rose Bowl someday. I'll probably get that opportunity with Notre Dame, hopefully. But, I don't really have any desire to go to the Coliseum. I hear it's a dump. And I'm just not impressed with it in general, I guess. So let's see. Those are my two big ones, I would say. None of the other rivalries really jump out at me. I know there's a lot of border rivalries, that are good and have history and things of that nature. Just none of them really, spoke to me per se. So those would be my top two, I would say.
Yeah, I got some good ones in the chat. Acupuncture would like to go see Clemson, South Carolina. You got Strikers for Irish, Army, Navy.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. I would absolutely love to go to an Army, Navy game. I have zero ties to either side except for the fact that, well, my brother was in the Army, so I guess there's a tie. But I would just love to just be around that pageantry and just everything about the Army, Navy aura, the situation, the guys that play it, all of those things. I've been to a million Notre Dame Navy games. I've been to a bunch of Notre Dame Army games. It's not the same as Army Navy. Like honestly, I would love to be I would like to take a visit during Army Navy week, spend a day at Annapolis, and then, spend a day at Army, at West Point, just to soak up the ambiance of what Army Navy week is all about. And then finish that off with going to the game. Like that would be a lot of fun. Like that would be a heck of a 4 days, 4-day trip. That would be a lot, and just see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So Army Navy would be a big one. That would definitely my top three.
No, I love that. I love that completely. Here we go. Another one from Acupuncture. Vince, this has got to be all you, buddy. Best dad joke you know.
Hold that thought for 2 seconds. Hold on.
All right, we're holding it. Yeah, I gotta start leveling up my dad game. Little man's gonna be here, gosh, in 2 months. So baby showers on Saturday.
I know this is terrible radio, me walking away for like 30 seconds. This was the gift that I got for Father's Day. A dad jokes book.
I love that.
And so you can flip to really anyone. I don't have one like off the top of my head, but there's definitely some good ones in here. Why do you never see hippos hiding in trees?
I don't know.
Because they're very good at it.
What?
I don't know. I just pulled up in the book and called it, and then, there it is. Let's see. What starts with a T, ends with a T, and is full of tea? Teapot.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been perusing this book. Obviously, it was a joke. It was a joke book. It's a joke present as well. But there you go. I have a dad jokes book at my at my disposal, and I will be taking this to school with me just to further enhance the aura of Dean D'Addario.
Hey, man, the Dean dad joke of the day.
It's legit. I might just write it on. You know what I should do is I should get like a whiteboard on the outside of my office door and just write a new one every day.
Yeah. I like that.
The only backfiring possibility of that is somebody writing things they shouldn't write on my whiteboard, which is definitely a possibility. I'm not a liked person from a lot of people, so there's that.
I'm sure my Big said I should bring that book with me to the delivery room.
Yes, see?
Yeah.
Listen, as a veteran of the delivery room, you're going to need some reading material, okay? So I got you there, buddy.
We still have 30 awesome questions to go here in the Friday Free-For-All Mailbag here in the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Really great questions so far today. Just got done talking about some dad jokes. We got one in here from our guy, Black Irish, Christopher Galloway. Vince, will you beat the Miami tailgate?
That is a fantastic question because I have missed many a tailgate, and I will blame my son for that because I'm usually driving home from his game. But the Miami game is unique because it's a home game for Hillsdale at noon, and the Miami game's at 7:30. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've got a good shot at making it to the tailgate as long as they don't close it up too quickly. So I'm going to aim to make it happen.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as I can get the parking pass and all that fun stuff. But, I mean, are you going to be there? Are you going to be in town for the Miami game?
I will not, unfortunately. Okay. I will have a 5-week-old at that point. I don't know if I'm going to have the availability to come up and party at a tailgate.
I get it. I've been using my kids as an excuse for the last 20 or almost 20 years now. So I totally get it. Even when it's a real excuse, it's still an excuse.
Back up to the top here, we got John A1.
All right. What level do you rank the 26 wide receiver room right now during the preseason? Top 5, top 10, 15, 20, 25, or 50?
I would rank them probably somewhere in between the top 15 to 20 range right now. There's an argument that they could have to elevate a little bit higher. I know depending on who you talk to, some would rank them a little bit higher or lower than what I would have them. I can confidently say I would not have them where Phil Steele has them ranked in the low or the high 30s below Michigan's wide receiver room. I can confidently say I would not have them ranked there. Having said that, they absolutely have the opportunity to jump into the top 10. We can't sit here and have one conversation about, CJ Carr is a favorite on FanDuel to go and win the Heisman Trophy, but then they're not going to have a single wide receiver over 400 yards receiving.
Right.
That's just impossible to have that conversation in the same breath. So when I look at Notre Dame's wide receiver room this year, they bring back a lot of the things that I like to see in top level wide receiver rooms outside of, as of today, having the guy, but you could argue for Notre Dame's wide receiver room is they have multiple guys. Maybe they have, I was looking at Texas Tech stats last year, and we get a lot of questions around, what could the production output be for Notre Dame's wide receiver room? And, I'm looking at it, and their leading receiver, Caleb Douglas, had 54 receptions, 846 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Reggie Virgil had 57 receptions, 705 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Coy Eakin had 48 receptions, 637 yards, 6 touchdowns. Their tight end, Terrence Carter, had 55 receptions, 624 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I could see Notre Dame's pass catchers repeat that type of production where maybe they don't have one guy that's over 1,200 yards receiving, but they have 4 guys over 600. I could see that. And in my opinion, that would vault them up into the top 10. But as of right now, I would say somewhere in the top 15 to 20 range. What about you, Vince?
Yeah, that was kind of the number that I was thinking of. I didn't want to be too rose-colored glasses with it and go any higher than 20 because there's just a lot of unproven commodities. Like, we think that they're going to be good. We think that they're going to step up and be the group that we want them to be to support a Heisman-level quarterback. And I think C.J. Carr can pull them along to a degree, but they're also going to have to do some of the pulling themselves. And I think to be safe right now, it's like a 22, 23 is where I would safely put them, but with the opportunity to move up quickly, depending on what we see and how the season starts to go. I am not comfortable going above top 20 right now. There's just too many question marks. And again, question marks aren't negative. It's just we literally don't know. We know that there's talent there. We've seen it in spring practice. We've seen it on, high school film. We've seen it, in a bunch of other places. We just haven't seen it in a gold helmet at Notre Dame consistently with this entire group. And we don't even know who the top 6 receivers are going to be. Legitimately. Like, there's some working out of things that they need to do before I think we can even make a confident decision one way or the other. But I think once they get it figured out, top 20 is a good place to be.
Yeah, this answer is also subject to change, Vince, to your point, when we get in fall camp and see Quincy Porter in a Notre Dame uniform and we see the true freshman and how big of a stride they made from spring to fall camp. And we see Jaden Greathouse going through drills.
Which we have not seen in like almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be big.
Yeah. John A1, if Notre Dame is a playoff team in 26, would there be any other P4 team that made the playoff that had an easier path based on strength of schedule? Well, I don't know the strength of schedule of everyone that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas Tech made the college football playoff this year, like let's say Texas Tech runs the table in the Big 12 and they win the Big 12 championship again, their schedule is very easy. I mean, if Miami makes the college football playoffs, I think their schedule is also easier than Notre Dame's. I mean, when you talk about Miami's schedule, for as much flack as Notre Dame's schedule gets, obviously Notre Dame's top opponent is Miami. Miami's top opponent is Notre Dame. We can call that a wash. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame's next hardest opponent is either BYU on the road or SMU at home. Here's Miami's schedule. On the road, they play Stanford, Wake Forest, Clemson, North Carolina, and Notre Dame. At home, they get Florida A&M, Central Michigan, Florida State, Pitt, Duke, Virginia Tech, and Boston College. Who's their second toughest opponent?
Yeah.
Is it Clemson? And is it hard just because like you're playing at Clemson, even though the team might be kind of middle of the road to goodish? Like, is it Duke, whose roster you kind of took some of their key players to come to Miami? Is it Virginia Tech in year one of James Franklin that you get down in Miami? Is it Florida State? Are you hoping for them to have a turnaround? So, I mean, Miami is another one. So, John, how I'm taking this question is, yes, there will be teams that make the college football playoff that have an easier schedule than Notre Dame's. It's not every team that makes the college football playoff has an Ohio State caliber football schedule, and then there's Notre Dame who plays just Miami, BYU, and SMU.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I looked at, I was kind of searching around there looking for strength of schedule. There's a couple of different publications that put out top 25. Obviously, neither Miami nor Notre Dame are in the top 25 in strength of schedule, and neither is Texas Tech. And they've got a good chance to make the playoff, obviously, based on their situation. So, yeah, I mean, I think those are two good answers. I think Tech and Miami are really good answers for that.
We got a two-parter in here from John A1.
Uh-oh. Notre Dame seems like a team primed to dominate in the pass game. However, a lot of the weapons seem to be big, physical players. Have there been past passing teams that dominated with power possession? style pass catchers. I'm thinking about the backs, the Flanagans at tight end, Porter, Greathouse, Gilbert, Fitz, Finley. Faison is the only guaranteed target that's not big and physical.
I mean, if you just look at it on paper, sure, but that's also granting the premise that Devin Fitzgerald is going to play. Like Caden Finley had a pretty quiet spring, but I'm excited to see what he does in fall camp. Micah Gilbert, we're assuming that he's able to stay healthy. I mean, I hear you about Jaden Greathouse and Quincy Porter and the Flanagans at tight end, but have there been previous teams? Yeah, there's been previous Notre Dame teams that have dominated that way. I mean, Chase Claypool was 6'4", Miles Boykin was 6'4" in 2018. Cole Kmet is 6'6". I mean, there's been plenty of Notre Dame offenses that have thrived then. And, obviously the counter is, well, there's Chris Fink. It's like, okay, well, this team has Jordan Faison. But where I have to push back is Elijah Burris is 6'1", maybe 190 pounds. Mylan Graham is 6'1", maybe 190 pounds. You got Jordan Faison. You have Bubba Frazier. One of the things that I love about this receiving core is the diverse skill sets in the room. Because they don't just have a bunch of 6'2" plus guys that are kind of big-bodied possession receivers. They can play the matchup game with you. They can beat you in the screen game. They can beat you vertically. They can beat you one-on-one possession in the boundaries. So that's what I would push back on here, John, is I don't think that it's just a room full of a bunch of trees, and big, heavy-footed athletes. Like, I don't see it that way at all. So, but to answer your question, yeah, there's been some past passing teams that have dominated. I mean, Ian Book's best season was 2018 with 6'4" Miles Boykin, 6'4" Chase Claypool, and 6'6" Cole Kmet. So that'd be how I would answer that one.
I like it. All right. From Tommy, does Denbrock, or should he consider getting Premer snaps throughout camp at the boundary position?
Not this year. I want Ian Premer to be focusing on being a tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already going to have an adjustment going from high school football out in Kansas to, I mean, honestly, as far as defensive talent is concerned, the cream of the crop of collegiate football at the highest level. I mean, I would rather him be worried about, okay, how do I release off of Drake Bowen or Kingston Viliamas or Jalen Sneed or Madden Framo or Jaden Ausberry when they're get hands on me to jam if I'm trying to run a seam route? How do I get open against Breonte Johnson or Radon Schuler or Luke Talich or Joey O'Brien or Ethan Long? I also don't need him worried about in his first semester in college. How do I also get open against Leonard Moore and TJ McKinney? So that I don't think he should. Now, look, I'm not opposed to Mike Denbrock looking for creative ways to get Ian Premer the football because he's a very talented player. We are also talking about somebody who, as a tight end, was the team's kick returner and had like 6 rushing touchdowns as a senior in high school. So, but in year one, I want him to get acclimated to being on Notre Dame's offense. But I appreciate the heart of where you're coming from this question.
I always hesitate with the Ian Premer conversation is just because I haven't seen him do much, anything actually in person, which is one of the things I'm excited to see. I just don't like putting all my eggs in a commodity that I haven't seen.
Yep.
And so to your point, give him the least amount possible to get him on the field. If you want to go 13 personnel and split him out with the other 2 guys attached, cool. But that's a package, not learning a whole new position, that kind of a deal. But
very true.
I would keep his focus pretty narrowed as a true freshman. Is Tion Gray the most physically imposing interior defensive lineman since Lewis Nix? He's huge, even on TV.
He's very physically imposing. I agree with you there, Coleman. Since Lewis Nix, I don't know about that. Like Riley Mills looked like a dude.
He looked like a dude.
His
arms were as big as my head.
Yeah, like Riley Mills was intimidating looking dude. I mean, Jerron Jones was a pretty intimidating looking dude, especially with that like big, like full barred face mask. Jerry Tillery was a big bodied, like 6'5", 6'6", 300-pound defensive tackle. So there's been some, but yes, I would put Tion Gray, or I'd put Tion Gray in with the Lewis Nix conversation. I'm confident in saying that. What about you?
Yeah, I'm there. I think he is physically imposing, and the fact that I think he wears number 7 also makes him more physically imposing. Is he 7? He's either 7 or
that's
0.
That's Francis Brew. Tion Gray is
0. He's the 0, which you put a 0 on a defensive lineman or any single digit, and they just look bigger and more imposing. Excuse me. And so, yeah, that definitely adds to it as well.
Who was the defensive tackle that transferred from Notre Dame to Duke? Was that like Jamarian Franklin, if I'm getting his name correctly?
Yeah, he went single digit at Duke, didn't he?
Yeah, he was number 5, and he looked just significantly bigger than what he looked like at Notre Dame.
I'm telling you, single digits make a difference, man. They make skinny guys look faster, and they make big guys look bigger. Like, it just is what it is. It's like when Faison was wearing 80 something, right?
Yeah,
like, it's
he was 80.
Like, no. Like, that's just. This isn't 1973. Like, you need a single digit. And then when he put on 6, it's like, yup, that fits.
Unfortunately for me, I had a single digit number in high school. It did not make me look faster nor bigger. So it's not effective with everybody. What number were
to
you?
Every rule. 21.
Okay.
21.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a safety as well as a wide receiver. But it was a triple option offense. You ran triple option. Like, Mishawaka locally, they put their wide receivers in 90s. Like, it doesn't matter what your wide receivers are wearing.
I believe it. My head coach, my junior and sophomore through senior year, was Bill Rogeman, who was a former head coach at Mishawaka. And he brought the 1984 Mishawaka High School playbook with him to run the triple options. So
there we go.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah. So 21 looked great when I was playing defense. It looked odd when I played offense, except when, Megatron started wearing it. Or not he was wearing 21 back in college. But that was like 10 years after I was in high school. So it wasn't quite as cool back then.
I was about to say, like, Mo Stovall was 21. Calvin Johnson was 21.
Those were after my time, unfortunately. I was a trendsetter.
They took after you. So, hey, look, we can neither confirm or deny that Mo Stovall and Megatron wore number 21 at wide receiver because of Vince Daria.
It's an homage. I get it. From Tommy, weekend plans, ? I'm taking the wife and the oldest to go see Young Washington tonight.
Didn't you see that earlier this week with Brian?
Went with Brian. Yeah, we went and saw it Sunday. We went and saw it on Sunday. Great movie, and one you should take your kids to go see. 100%. Great movie, Tommy. Great movie.
Love that. Yep, weekend plans for me. We got baby shower in Cincinnati, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm don't really have a whole lot of weekend plans, which is different and fantastic all at the same time. Like I said earlier in the show, I think myself and the oldest are considering a road trip to the closest IMAX theater to go watch Odyssey. One of his classes this year at Hillsdale was a study of the Odyssey, and so he's all in on it. He wants to see it, and I was like, I'll go with you. That'd be fun. Let's go check it out. So I think he's currently peeping tickets and seeing what it's all about up there in Portage, Michigan, which is the closest IMAX theater to us up here in central Indiana, north central Indiana.
I guess you might as well move to Indianapolis. There's an IMAX theater here. So
yeah, I'm sure there is.
I guess you'll just have to move to Indy.
I know.
Golf all the time.
From what I've heard, you're good at finding real estate. So put you in charge of that.
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
John A1, you're the OC. Choose wide receiver set who fits your offense best. Number 1 option, Fuller, Rocket, Tim Brown. I think we're done talking. Number 2, Tate, Floyd, Samardzija.
So I would go. I personally would go with option number 2. I like having multiple big-bodied options in my offense, whereas it's all speed with option number 1, which I am very sympathetic to. Very strong argument. I'm also biased because I can vividly remember watching Golden Tate, Michael Floyd, and Jeff Samardzija, and I never watched Tim Brown, and I never watched Rocket Ismail outside of highlights.
Right.
So it's like that's my issue. It's like highlights don't really tell the full story. But I mean, Fuller in that one is very enticing. But for the offense that I would run, I would put Michael Floyd in the boundary, Jeff Samardzija to the field, and I'd have Golden Tate in the slot. But I would just rotate them all. and it'd kind of be positionless football. What about you, Vince?
I'm going to take option number one, just to be a little bit different here. Yes, they are all speed, but I've got a Heisman Trophy winner out there who's going to win all the 50-50 balls. Fuller and Rocket will just run by everybody. I would actually probably trying to decide how I would set it up, to be perfectly honest with you. Obviously, I'm moving them all around all over the place. I don't have a true slot guy here in this particular group. So I might just put Fuller and Rocket on the outside, put Tim Brown on the inside, and just make fools out of linebackers and safeties. But so I think it'd be a lot of fun. But you can't go wrong with either set of three. That's for darn sure. So yeah, I guess that's what I would do. I'll take group number one.
I like it.
All right. From Coleman Smith, with losing Love and Price, will our running game even be close to what it was?
Oh, most definitely. Like the overall output, you could argue, could be even greater.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know from a touchdown standpoint if they'll combine for like 32 some odd touchdowns that they had. Like Price had 2 receiving touchdowns. Love had like 3 receiving touchdowns. So that's 5 and 18, 11. So somewhere in the 30s. Do I think they'll combine for that amount of touchdowns? That I don't know, because I think CJ Carr is going to have more than 24 passing touchdowns this year.
Yep.
Having said that, there's a world where you could argue the run game might be better than what it was last year from an efficiency standpoint, because I think the offensive line is going to be better. I think after this, my prediction is after the 26 season is over, we will have conversations next offseason about, man, could you imagine if Love or Price came back in 2026 and got to run behind that offensive line? Like, I truly believe we'll start having some of those conversations. So, but yes, short answer here, Coleman, I absolutely think it'll be close to what it was. And depending on what lens you want to look at, it could be better.
So they combined for 29 rushing touchdowns out of the 38 that were scored. Do you think the top 2 running backs are going to have that many?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think so either.
Because I also don't see the tight end room ending the season with 1 touchdown catch, or like the leading wide receiver only has 6 touchdown catches. Like I don't see that happening. I don't see Jaden Greathouse ending the year with 0 touchdown receptions. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, no, absolutely correct. I'm with you. I think, look, the running back room will be just about as good because it will be because of the offensive line and things like that. I just don't know that there's not going to be a Jeremiah Love. It's probably not even going to be a Jadarian Price. But the workload will be spread out. And yeah, like you said, some of those touchdowns are going to go to the passing game. So they're going to be just fine. They'll be close to what it was. It'll just look a little bit different. Braden P was one of the first. Braden Parks was one of the first guys Notre Dame was on for 27, and now he's the last. Add on being Zorch's grandson. Did you expect his recruitment to go this long?
I mean, I can't put a timetable on how long I expected it to go, but it sounds like the young man wants to make a very formal decision. And I'm never going to knock somebody for wanting to make sure that where they spend the next 4 to 5 years of their life is something that they think through thoroughly. I mean, being Chris Zorch's godson, sure. But, when you talk to, like, hearing all the recruiting stories about CJ Carr and how, like, all of his lineage to Michigan, they wanted to be very clear that it's like, hey, we want you to go where you want to go and where you see yourself and where you're the best fit. That place ended up being Notre Dame. For somebody with like Notre Dame lineage, like Bryce Young and Bryant Young, I would imagine that Bryant Young wanted Bryce to go somewhere where he could have been successful. Yep. Obviously, he has firsthand experience of what that's like in South Bend. But if that was at Tennessee and the best fit for Bryce Young was at Tennessee, then he'll go to Knoxville. If it was up in Columbus at Ohio State, then he'd go be a Buckeye. But so I just think that Braden Parks is having a very formal decision. I'm not going to knock on him for that. So that's where I'm at with this one, Iden. I didn't have an expectation going into it.
Agreed. I mean, it's great that Zorch is his godson and all, or godfather, and all that fun stuff. But in no way does that dictate where you end up going to school. Hopefully it works out. That'd be great. But yeah, I don't. Number one, I'm not as into recruiting, so I wasn't like, yeah, Braden Parks is gonna, this is gonna go quick. wasn't in that mindset in any way, shape, or form. I didn't even know that he was George's godson until 37 seconds ago. So I just don't know that has a whole lot of play and as to where he ends up in school. That's all. Tommy Guns, give me one from each of you. Your craziest potential newspaper headline. Bonus points if you say it in the fashion of a 1950s corner newspaper salesman. You get to be a newsie.
Okay. I don't know.
Extra, read all about it. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I was wondering if it was that or like that transatlantic, like old school, like radio accent. I didn't know if it was that or that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Craziest potential newspaper headline. I don't know. Notre Dame downs Ohio State by 35 points in the national title game.
You want craziest? I'm going to go extra, read all about it. Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman part ways before the season even starts. There you go. That's the craziest.
And you also get the bonus points for the 1950s corner newspaper salesman. I appreciated that.
Thank you.
I appreciated that very much.
Yeah, no problem. I figure why the heck not?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Somebody get this man a Nelson's Porta Pit chicken.
Yes.
ASAP.
Yeah. People wanted the craziest. They're not going to be happy that I went negative, but I feel like anything positive wouldn't have been crazy because I feel like there's a level of truth into anything positive. So I just went with the most unrealistic, craziest option that there could be. He's not leaving before the season starts. Like, that's never going to happen. So that's why it's the craziest thing I could come up with.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. From T. Hannah Ozarks, I would guess that this has been addressed, and I just missed it. Will we see Logan Thomas at linebacker someday? His mind's telling him defensive end, and his body's telling him linebacker.
No, I don't know. Because here's the thing, and what's crazy to say, he might be too light to play linebacker.
Right. Seriously.
Like that's the thing. And plus, as far as the overall skill set of the position, I don't know if he could be an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah, right. 100%.
Yeah. I don't know if he can turn and run in coverage with Walker Lyons, who's the tight end now at BYU. I don't know if he's going to be able to, like, look, you can get away with having a lighter edge rusher because they're not going to be asked to do some of the things that an off-ball linebacker would do. I mean, we wanted to see a little bit more weight being put on Jacoby Clapper. He was also like 210 pounds when he got to campus, and we wanted to see him put on weight at linebacker. You know, so I mean, Drake Bone is in the 230s. Kingston's in the 230s. Jalen Sneed's in the 220s. Jay Nosberry's in the 220s. Like, Logan Thomas has a ways to catch up before he gets to them. At one point in time this offseason, he was 207 pounds on their official roster. So, no, I don't see him being at linebacker someday. I think he's going to be used as sort of like a niche pass rusher. That's how I view him. He just has to stay healthy.
Right. There's only one linebacker that weighs less than Logan Thomas right now, and it's Tommy Paulus, who's a walk-on linebacker and son of Ron. So, like, there's not even another one that doesn't start with a 2-2. You know what I mean? So, like, he has a ways to go to be at the weight of a linebacker. And again, I don't know what his feet are like as far as in space and all that stuff. So, no, I don't see him going to linebacker. It's defensive end or bust at this point.
In the theme of, I guess, this type of song lyric from Tommy Guns.
Your mind is telling you no, but your heart is telling you yes about blank this season.
Notre Dame goes undefeated in the regular season. Like, and the reason why I say my mind is telling me no, it's not that I don't think that they're capable of beating all 12 opponents on their schedule. It is very hard to go undefeated. Like, it is. And that's something that's so hard for me to predict. And there's a lot of things that you can use to back up that point. Like, Notre Dame has a better roster than everybody that they face. I agree. I said that last year, and they lost twice. So that's what my mind is telling me no, but my heart is telling me yes about that. Notre Dame goes 12-0 in the regular season.
Mine is just that Notre Dame wins the national championship because I have not seen one. I don't remember seeing one when I was 7, and I saw a national championship game, but I haven't seen Notre Dame win one. And of course, my heart is telling me that they're going to. Everything that about me tells me that they're going to. But my mind is like, Vince, you've never seen it, so it's not going to happen. So what? Stop getting so excited about it. You're just going to look like a homer. Like that's what my mind tells me all the time. It's like, stop getting so excited. Stop thinking that they're going to be so good, because people are going to think that you just are a homer and don't care about anything else, that Notre Dame is just going to win and that you're just a fan and blah, blah, blah. That's what my mind tells me all the time. And so I try to temper a lot of my analysis that way, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's winning a national championship. This is the team that has the opportunity to do it. They have the ability to do it. They have the coaching staff to do it. They have the schedule to do it. I think everything lines up very nicely. But my mind is telling me, you've never seen it, buddy. It's not going to happen. So stop it. All right. Jay Melvin. Vince, imagine this scenario where Notre Dame makes a natty against Texas, plays great, and it comes down to 3 seconds left. Texas leads 31-30, and Porath comes up to kick a 47-yard field goal to try and win. I'm not sure what the question is. Probably, do I think he's going to make it, or how will I feel when this is occurring? I will feel very good about it. I think Spencer Porath is an excellent kicker, and 47 is well within his range, as it should be for any D1 kicker. And so I would feel very, very, very good about Notre Dame's chances in this scenario. I would feel very good about it. Very good.
I also would feel very good about it. I would be breaking down in a nervous sweat.
100%.
Up until, I mean, what was your – when Mitch Jeter came out to kick the game-winning field goal against Penn State, be real, how are you feeling?
I was very excited about it. It's funny. I so identified with his dad. He is every kicker's dad, who like films every kick with his cell phone so that he can go back and watch it with his kid someday, like, you know, or even at the end of the game to like analyze what they did wrong, and then like jumping up and down with his family. So that's what I remember from that kick, actually. But I would like, at that point, after the interception by Christian Gray, I was like, Notre Dame's going to win. Like I, when he got that interception, I was like, this is over. This is done. Mitch Jeter is destined to make this kick. Like I felt, you know, you're nervous, obviously, but from that point forward, I was like, Notre Dame's going to win. Notre Dame's going to win. Christian Gray just did this for them, and it's meant to be. They're going to win this game.
I was more nervous about the drive to get them into comfortable field goal range than I was the actual field goal kick.
I get that.
Because it's like, all right, well, I've watched Riley Leonard throw a pick to a safety and a DN this game. Just don't turn the ball over. That's what I was more nervous about. Get yourself into field goal range, because if you get into field goal range and you miss it, you're playing with house money because the game was tied. You know, and so that's how I felt. But I'm not going to lie. When he went and lined up for the field goal and I started it to see it like drift right a little bit, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I know. And then it kind of curved back in.
And then drew back in.
I mean, it was like,
yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. Now, I get nervous about any kick. I mean, just in general, because I know everything that goes into it and, you know, that kind of stuff. I go nuts. Like, you'll see it, because you and I are planning on going to a Hillsdale game at some point this season. Like, I get nervous for extra points. Like because it's my kid, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and like in the stands and nobody knows that's my kid. And like, I hear the chatter about kickers and like all this stuff. And it's just like, I get so nervous every time my kid addresses the ball, like every single time in a game. So like, if this was my kid, not even national champion, but like game winner, like, oh my God, they're going to have to hospitalize me. Like
I was about to say, you might, knowing your luck, that's when we'll do like a live IB show to cover the game and you have to watch.
It'll be awful. Oh
man.
Yeah. I'm a nervous
wreck. That would be awesome. Does Dylan ever kind of talk about that as like the dream is like kick a game-winning field goal? It's kind of like, you know, like back in like basketball players talk about the dream when you're younger is like hit a game-winning shot or something like that.
He wants it. He's one of those kids that wants that moment.
That's awesome.
I don't. for him, I don't want that at all. He wants that moment so badly. There was his junior year, was his first year starting at Penn High School. They were driving down to kick a game-winning field goal, and they probably kicked one play too early. And there was a bunch of stuff that went into a bad snap, bad hole, the whole thing, and he just shanked the crap out of it. And it was one of those kicks that as soon as he kicked it, it was like, that has no chance. Like, it was one of those kind of deals. And the season was over. It was the end of the year. It was like the last game of the year was the playoffs, like that kind of a thing. And he'll never forget that moment, even though all the other stuff went against him. Like, they moved, like the holder decided to move last second, didn't let him retake his steps, like all kinds of different stuff. Like, it was just, he was set up for failure. And like I said, they should have run another play. They had time to do it, but the coach kind of panicked a little bit. And it just wasn't a competitive kick. And he was heartbroken, just heartbroken. And because he was a junior and it was a senior's last game, and, that whole thing, he felt responsible, so that was the whole thing. Now, I will add, the head coach called him the next morning, Saturday morning, called him at home. And it's like, dude, this is not your fault. So many other things like happened in that game, the whole thing. But like, the head coach didn't have to do that. Like that guy was high class individual. Corey Yeoman is a high class individual.
That's awesome.
But anyway, long story short, he wants that moment again. And he asks for it all the time. Like, that he wants that moment. So, you know what? That's what you need to be made of. So, like, I appreciate that in his lexicon. Like, I appreciate the fact that that's the way he's made. But like I said, I dread that moment as a parent.
Yeah. That's a gamer right there, dude. That's awesome.
I dread it. John A1, do you think the changes want to see the NCAA or whoever ends up in charge of college football for the better of the sport would also translate to men's college basketball and bring it back to what it once was?
Potentially. I think you could see a trickle-down effect. Once there's all it's going to take is for one of the major leagues in collegiate sports, and honestly, it's probably either football or college basketball, to kind of rein everything back in. Because right now, what nobody has is a proven example of, like, this is how it should be done. And I think if college football starts to set that example, you could see college basketball start to adopt it. And then I also think vice versa. If men's college basketball reins in the portal and just the mass amounts, the tens of millions of dollars going into these rosters for like 8 guys, like, I think you will start to see that the other sport opposite will follow suit. So yeah, I think you could see a trickle-down effect. It won't be immediate, to a lot of our dismay, but you'll start to see changes. That's how I view it.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to take a lot, though. It's going to take a lot, and the toothpaste may be out of the tube at this point, which is, that's tough. That's tough. Somebody in the chat said kicking a penalty kick in soccer is like kicking a field goal or extra point or something. I feel like it's a big difference personally, but nobody's snapping the ball and holding it for you. And there's a lot less human error involved in that kind of a kick, in my opinion. Yes, there is somebody actively trying to block it, but there's also 11 guys trying to actively block your football kick as well. And there's a lot of extra space to kick a penalty kick. So just throwing it out there. But anyway, Coleman Smith, there's a lot of talk from people about Mylan Graham. I am on that train. Should I temper my expectations for him? If so, why?
Well, Coleman, I guess it depends on what your expectations are for him. I mean, I've also talked a lot about Mylan Graham, but if your expectation of him is he's going to have 80 catches for 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns this year, I would temper your expectations. Having said that, I do think that he's due for a breakout. Here's the thing, like, Mylan Graham has like 6 career catches. I think he has like 6 catches for like 93 yards or something on his career. Maybe it's over 100. I'm not sure. But he'll have a breakout. If he has 20 catches this year, that's a breakout season for him. But he has multiple years of eligibility left, and I don't know if his time is coming in 2026 or 2027. And so, no, if your belief is tempering your expectations, is you just shouldn't be talking about him at all, I am not under that belief, because I think he's going to have a really good season. As will, I think, Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison and Quincy Porter, and hopefully one of or both of Micah Gilbert or Cam Williams. But I'm with you. I'm on his hype train as well. I'm excited to see what he can do. like a lot of fans do with position battles at Notre Dame, they go one or. It's I'm team Jaden Greathouse, I'm team Mylan Graham, I'm team both. I would love nothing more than for Jaden Greathouse and Mylan Graham to be nightmares when they're on the field, and hopefully Mike Denbrock can find ways to get them on the field together.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Mylan Graham. I am tempering my expectations based on everything that you just said, but he looked good in the spring. He looked dynamic in the spring. He had a good relationship with CJ Carr. I'm very excited about what Mylan Graham brings to the table. Again, I don't think he's going to go out and win the Biletnikoff Award, so that is why I am tempering my expectations, but I do think he's a nice fit in this offense, and I think he's a nice fit with CJ Carr.
Yeah, that's the piece right there, Vince, that sold me on him in the spring. Because, like, you can watch him and you can tell, like, he just moves a little bit differently than some of the other guys in the room. Like, he's a very smooth, fluid athlete. But it was his connection with CJ Carr, because I can also look at Cam Williams and say, well, that guy also doesn't move like some of the other guys in the room, but the connection isn't fully there yet. And we saw in the Jersey scrimmage and in the blue gold game, and as the spring practices started to stack up, Mylan Graham became a very comfortable target for CJ Carr. And that is a huge, huge factor for me as well. That's a great point.
Yep. Agreed. Completely. All right. Hope I was on the right tab. Okay, here we go. What do we got next?
We got the Friday Free-For-All Mailbag going on here in the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. We have some great questions. And Vince, to answer the question that you ended part 3 with, up next, we have our guy, Tommy Guns.
Just a little editing on my part. Tommy Guns, here we go. How do you think Whittingham will handle the potential of media asking him, assistants, and players about the AD situation if it's not resolved soon? What would failure of that look like?
Well, I mean, failure of that would look like airing out the entire program's dirty laundry. Like, it's like, well, gosh, if he's in a press conference and he's asked, hey, Coach Whittingham, how, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. How are you able to handle that? And he's just like, well, how am I able to handle it? Where do I even begin? Like, we got this going on and this going on. And so I think the failure of that would look pretty obvious, but he's a vet. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been in the coaching industry for a very long time, and I think he's going to be very professional with how he handles things. I don't think he's going to answer any questions that he's not qualified to ask. I mean, media can ask, and this isn't a shot at anyone in particular. This is just, we've all seen it. We've seen interviews with athletes where they get asked crazy questions that they just don't have any bandwidth to answer. And so I think Whittingham will be professional about it. He won't answer any questions that he's not qualified to. I'm sure he'll ask you, who's the next athletic director going to be? And look, guys, that's not what I was brought to Ann Arbor to do. I was not brought here to hire an athletic director. That's not a part of my job description. My job is to get this team ready for September, whatever their opening kickoff is, and to get the most out of this program and blah, 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 blah. That's what I think it will sound like personally, Vince. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to deflect it. I mean, he's going to 100% deflect. If that question is asked of him, it's like, look, I don't hire the athletic director. That's not my job. And I'm here to coach a football team, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Like, that's how that conversation is going to go, and that's how it should go. If he goes any more in depth than that, then he answered it incorrectly. Like that's honestly the way I look at it. He would be foolish to utter any kind of opinion, response, or anything else of that matter when it comes to the athletic director. It's like, I work for Michigan football, or I work for Michigan. I'm the football coach. I am working on winning games as the football coach. They'll handle the AD situation, and I look forward to meeting whoever that is, or however you want to phrase it. But like, he will not enter any kind of opinion onto the record. That's for sure.
Yep. Without a doubt. I'm with you.
John A1, Sullivan Absher, as a high school prospect, was viewed as a high upside run blocker who had enough athleticism to play tackle. Do you think Absher will flash more dominance in the run game this year?
Yeah, I think so. Once he gets a little bit more comfortable, one of the things that I had been preaching about with Sullivan Absher and asking for quite some time is just leave him in one spot and let him grow. It's hard for him to find his footing in any one position, where one week he's a center, and then the next week he's a right tackle, and then the next week he's a left guard. And so I do. He's he is a very proven run blocker just through what he's done in my eyes in the last 5 games of the regular season. I thought he blocked very well against Pitt. I thought that's been the best game that we've seen from Sullivan Absher in his collegiate career. And one thing that we saw from him over spring is his relationship, his on-field relationship as far as communication goes with Gerby Lambert is exceptional. And it's a lot farther along than what you would think. 2 guys being in the starting lineup together next to each other for the first time would be. It's farther ahead of where that I would assume would be. So, yeah, I think his dominance will flash a little bit more. He's got the frame and size to do it. Dude's like 6'7", 6'8", 320 some odd pounds. So he can move people, but I don't know if it'll ever look as dominant as what Anthony Knapp has been able to do or what we saw from Gerby Lambert in stints last year. I think Sullivan Absher's room for variance is that of, he'll have the occasional, like, yo, did you see that block from 75? With much more consistently, like, gosh, he just does his job week in and week out. So that's how I think Sullivan Absher's going to be this season. I think he's going to turn some heads, man. I really do.
Yeah, I think he will. He'll take advantage of his opportunity, and I think he'll do a really good job at it. And I think his run blocking will take another step in the right direction. Absolutely correct. From Adam Garcia, if Notre Dame wins it all this year, do you think they can compare to any of the Bama Natty teams under Saban? Ooh, let's win one first.
Agreed. Agreed. Adam, I love where your head's at. Now, I will say this. If Notre Dame wins a championship this year, I'd be confident in saying that they had some more top-end talent than what, like, the 2011 team had. I don't know if I'm ready to compare them to 12 or 9 or – like, you could compare them to 15 maybe, because outside of Derrick Henry, like, I think they'll be better at quarterback. I firmly believe that CJ Carr this year is going to be better than Jacob Coker. And I don't really know that that's that hot of a take. Now, can a wide receiver step up and be Calvin Ridley? I don't know. Will a running back step up, or can a trio or duo of running backs repeat the level of production that we saw from Derrick Henry? Potentially, but before we start talking about comparing Notre Dame to past national champions, I mean, honestly, man, I'm just at the point in the offseason where I just want to talk about them beating Wisconsin.
Yeah. I don't – if Notre Dame wins the national championship, then comparing them to former national championship teams is just gravy. Like, I don't care. I just want them to win. You know what I mean? Like, I could care less who they're compared to. That does not matter to me in any way. I've got a shirt that says national champion on it. Like, that's all I want.
If they are just the best team in 2026, I will then give me a month of being just absolutely ridiculous. And then we can have the conversation next offseason about where does this Notre Dame team rank in terms of past champions. I'm with you.
From Tommy, I believe I heard that Oklahoma State has minus 2,500 odds of winning the Big 12. Either of you going to sprinkle a little cha-ching on that?
I think that would have to be plus 2,500 odds. If it was minus 2,500 odds, that means that they're sure winning,
like, guaranteed to win the conference. Yeah. But plus 2,500, I mean, that's pretty good. Like, a little bit of money is going to go a long way there.
Yeah, actually, Tommy, if you go and look on FanDuel, they have plus 2,700 odds to win.
Just go ahead and plug in like a $5 bet for that. What is it? What does that look like?
So if you put a little $5 on that, you get paid out $135.
So there you go. There you go. It's not. Look, it is not out of the realm of possibility that they could win the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is just as open as the ACC is. You know what I mean? And with all the changes that Oklahoma State made, and Mustamaker and the new head coach and all these different things. Yeah, I mean, $5-10 on that. Why not?
Got a super chat in here from Mr. Rogers 04.
Mr. Rogers. I love that show. What's the difference? First of all, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Rogers. I appreciate it. What's the difference between a hippo, an elephant, and a rhino? A hell if I know. It's a dad joke. It's well played, Mr. Rogers.
Very nice. In the common theme of dad jokes, I appreciate that.
Yep, appreciate it as well. Jay Melvin, Trev, who has a higher ceiling, Kari Adams or Xavier Hassan?
Ooh, that's close. that's really close because you're talking about two really, really talented guys coming up. If my memory serves me correctly, and this is on the premium message board, so somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong, I believe Brian has them both ranked as 4.5-star recruits, like top 75 caliber prospects, and they both have 5-star upside, like that of like a top 25 player. That's their upside. I mean, they're both similar in size. Actually, Kari Adams is bigger. Xavier Hassan is more like 5'11", 6 foot. Kari Adams is like 6'1", 6'2". But if my memory serves me correctly, they're both 4.5-star recruits with 5-star upside. So it's very close. If you're talking about them like when they're coming out of high school, like where Kari Adams was at after his junior year, which is what Xavier Hassan is at, that would be a question better suited for Brian. But if we're talking about what their ceiling is at Notre Dame, it's very, very similar. I think they're both going to be fantastic players with them. So that's where I'm at.
Cool. Another super chat. Thank you, Tyler, for the super chat. Do you think Kalen DeBoer is secretly trying to find a way of Bama
find a
way out of Bama because he doesn't like the fit or like it there? If this was pre-extension signing, then maybe. But he signed that extension for a heck of a lot of money. Now he would have to be fired and he would get one heck of a walking paper check. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know that it is what he anticipated it was going to be. And I think there maybe is a little bit of buyer's remorse there from Kalen DeBoer, but I don't think he's trying to find a way out.
No, I don't either. I think this is going to be a very pivotal season for him. They can't look. I don't think that they're in the mode of Alabama has to win a national title this year for Kalen DeBoer to keep his job because they did just make the playoffs. But if they don't win the title, they can't get bounced by losing by 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just can't. Like it. I'm very interested to see what Alabama does this year. And from everything that I've read about them in camp, outside of like their exceptional skilled talent on the perimeter on offense and defense, and whoever wins the quarterback battle, trench play is going to be a big question mark for the Crimson Tide this year. Very interested to see how that pans itself out. That is for sure.
From Beezer 12 Washing Beard, who's more overrated, Sarkisian or Lanning? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, I think if you want to talk about big wins, gosh, that is close. I mean, my initial gut reaction is to say Sark, because Dan Lanning has consistently made the playoffs the last 2 years. His first year in the Big Ten, they won the Big Ten championship, beat Ohio State at home in the regular season by a point, went on and beat Penn State in the Big Ten championship. They were the number 1 seed and went undefeated in the regular season their first year in the Big Ten. Sark has some big wins. I mean, at Texas, he got a win in 2023 over a Nick Saban-led Alabama team in Tuscaloosa, which was a big win. Back-to-back years in the CFP semifinals. And when Texas has lost in the semifinals, it has not been as emphatic as Oregon's departures. So it's a very close conversation, but I'm leaning Steve Sarkisian here. What about you?
This one is tough. I think Lanning's harder to like, but that doesn't mean he's overrated. Like some of his pregame speeches are just like, okay, dude. Like I'm over Lanning and his pregame speeches. I don't know. I do feel like Lanning has accomplished more, and obviously Sark has kind of a dark past, but I'm not going to blame him for that because he had some issues and got some help. And, in theory, he's back to being, a better version of himself. And I applaud him for all of that. So like him bouncing around his resume, has a lot to do with his off the field stuff. You know what I mean? And so that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with him as a coach. I think I would take Sark as my coach over Lanning, but I think Lanning has a better resume right now. So I guess I would say Lanning. I think Oregon itself is a little overrated at times. So I'll take Lanning to be the different guy and say that Sark is the better coach.
Fair enough.
Another one from Tyler. Thanks for the super chat. Who gets fired first, Mike Norvell or Shane Beamer?
I'm going to go with Mike Norvell, and I'm not talking about like buyouts here, comparing contract options. I think the outlook for South Carolina this season is significantly higher than Florida State, in that I'm not predicting that South Carolina has a bounce back year. I don't think they go 3-9 again. I just couldn't even begin to tell you what Florida State is going to do this year.
I know. They're a complete anomaly.
I have not an inkling of what they could do. I couldn't even give you a prediction. I mean, if I could go and dive into their schedule, but I have no idea the outlook of this team, because talent has not been their issue the last couple of seasons. Like, it's players are like actively quitting on him on the sidelines. I have no idea but is this the team that puts it all together and buys into being a Seminole and what Florida State wants to do? And I have no idea. So just off the riff, I'm going Mike Norvell, because there are things that I can point to with Shane Beamer of, if they can get this fixed with guys like Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor coming back, like maybe. So that's where I would go.
I don't know if Mike Norvell is going to make it out of the season. Like, that's where I'm at. I just think his seat is hotter than Shane Beamer's seat, I believe. Yeah, and I also feel like Florida State has higher expectations than South Carolina does too, and they can't take another crap season at Florida State. You know what I mean? Mike Norvell has done an amazing job of not getting fired over the last couple of years, in my opinion. So
yeah,
you can only ride that season that he had, that undefeated season. You can only ride that so far, and I feel like he's at the end of the line of that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, mailbag from Iden. You have a crystal ball. Who did or will have the best career at Notre Dame?
Jordan. Okay, these are wide receivers. So Jordan Johnson, Javon McKinley, Cam Williams, Caden Finley, or Julius Jones Jr. They're all the top 100 wide receivers from 2016 till now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think Jordan Johnson is out of this discussion, because Javon McKinley has already had a better collegiate career than Jordan Johnson did. And then the others, Cam Williams, Caden Finley, or Julius Jones, are all TBD. And some of that we'll start to find out this year. So if I had to guess, as of right now, the leader is Javon McKinley, because he's the only one that we have a full sample size from. But if I had to rank them after this, it's probably Julius Jones Jr. for how he projects. But that's so tough, because all it's going to take is for Cam Williams to have that one season, and he passes up arguably Javon McKinley.
Yeah.
You know, and then what do you get from Caden Finley? So that's just a tough question, Iden.
Yeah. It's all speculation. I mean, it is speculation from top to bottom. I mean, he says crystal ball, so, you know.
Yeah, if I had to crystal ball it, I would probably, as of today, I would go Julius Jones Jr., then Cam Williams, and Caden Finley, then Javon McKinley, then Jordan Johnson. That's how I'd go.
Okay. From John A1, our play action RPO plays more effective with physical running backs than elusive running backs, or is it a wash?
I think it's more of a wash. Like, with RPOs, like the type of running back that you have, like Audric Estime and Jeremiah Love were very different running backs, but Sam Hartman was effective with RPOs. And Riley Leonard actually from time to time was pretty effective with RPOs. Like in the middle of the season, like he had several RPO passing touchdowns that weren't just like play action touchdowns. So I think it's more of a wash in my opinion, Vince.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It really doesn't matter, because as long as your running game is effective, that's where play action comes into play. And like, I can be effective with a physical running back. I can be effective with an elusive running back in my run game. So it doesn't really matter. It's just the threat of the run period that makes the play action or RPO game dangerous. So it really doesn't matter. In the RPO game, obviously there's an opportunity for you to give it to your running back, and in play action, there's not. But I can run an RPO game, whether it's between the tackles or outside the tackles or whatever, right? So it doesn't really matter what kind of running back I have. It's a wash.
With you.
From Tommy, if Brian had lined up an interview with Brian Kelly and you two got to ask the questions, what would each of your first questions be? And for this, he agreed to be legitimately answer honestly and without spin. Wow. I would ask, will the real Brian Kelly please stand up? Because I don't think he can do an interview without honesty and spin. But anyway.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, if like, let's say they gave him a truth serum and they were like, and he had to take it and answer everything honestly.
Yep.
I think the first question that I would ask him is, what the heck happened in 2011? Like, how were you 8-5 with basically the entire 2012 roster plus Harrison Smith and Michael Floyd? Like, how? That would probably be my first question.
There's so many things I would ask. So many things, but like, what is the first one I would ask? I'm torn between something along the lines of, had you been looking to leave Notre Dame from 2012 on, like every offseason? Like, was that your thought process every offseason? And the other one that I would actually legitimately ask would be, did you really think Ian Book was the best quarterback that you could get at Notre Dame? Like that, like, you were his guy, but like, legitimately, was that your guy? Those would be my two questions.
I think, given him the truth serum, I would also ask if he genuinely believes that he's a championship caliber head coach.
Ooh, you're going into his psyche now. I like that. I like that.
Like, he might what do you truly believe?
He'll give you an answer like, I won championships at Grand Valley. Yeah, I am.
Very fair.
All right, from Tommy, G5 playoff team will be blank. Got to pick just one, no one of, and rattling off 4 to 5 different teams. It's almost like Tommy has listened to the show before.
What if I said 2 of and rattled off 6 to 8 teams, Tommy? How would you like that? No, I won't do that. I'm going to say Navy. I like how they're built in the trenches. I think it would be dope to have a triple option team in the playoffs. And I think Braxton Woodson is in for a big year. So G5 team, just without putting much thought into it, I'm going to go Navy.
Oh, I'll stick with an easy answer like Boise. I'll stay in that neighborhood. Yeah, I know. That's fine. That's fine. It's just a waste of time to have a G5 team in there. So
yeah, and a lot of the G5 teams that could have been in contention for it, it's like USF got rated because they're all now at Auburn, and like Memphis, I think a lot of their players probably transferred to Arkansas with Ryan Silverfield going there. I'm with you.
It says Brian. This is from Moabdi.
Muhammad Abdi.
Oh, got it. Thank you. Brian, do you think the defensive back recruiting will fall off compared to recent years due to the overhaul at the coaching at that position?
No, because I think Notre Dame is starting to put out a track record that speaks for itself as far as defensive backs are concerned. I would not read too much into like what has happened so far in the recruiting trail with Aaron Henry here, because like Mike Mickens already landed them 2 top 100 corners in Xavier Hassan and Ace Alston. You know, and so like I think Aaron Henry did a good job of bringing in John Gay III. I think he did a good job of bringing in Zayden Gamble. No, I don't think DB recruiting is going to fall off. I mean, you could argue that it'll get even better with the track record of people that have been brought in and the product that I'm expecting to see on the field this year with Leonard Moore and Christian Gray and DJ McKinney and Dallas Golden, the 2 safeties, Joey O'Brien, like players like that. So I get your concern, because all of those guys that I just listed off were brought in by Mike Mickens, including DJ McKinney from the portal. But if Aaron Henry just picks up where Mike Mickens left off as far as the product on the field, I think they're going to be just fine.
Good answer. I agree. From Timecone, what will happen to Cam Williams in 2026? Now that is a question that I wish I had a crystal ball for, because he will, in my experience with Cam Williams, now granted he's going into his junior year, and so this is a make or break year for Cam. I think we can all agree on that. I am done telling people to be patient because people were off of his bandwagon after his like first semester at Notre Dame. But I've seen him make highlight level plays and then I've seen him drop a slant. Like, it just needs to be more consistent. Like, that's the biggest thing for Cam, is he just needs to be more consistent. And I really, really hope that he finds that. I think the realistic prediction for him is that he's part of the rotation, but he's not a starter.
If I had a definitive answer for what was going to happen to Cam Williams in 26, I'd feel significantly better about putting Notre Dame's wide receiving core in the top 10 if I was going to rank them there. Yeah. Time Cone, I wish I could tell you. If I had this crystal ball and I could look into the future, and I'd feel a lot more confident about Notre Dame this season. What will happen to him? I think he'll be in the rotation this year.
Yeah.
Anything above that's going to be gravy, because if he's playing legitimate snaps, that means that Cam Williams is working in the right direction.
All right, from Ballpeen. So since the great one is already taken, what do we call Mylan when he breaks out? The grand one?
It's kind of up to Salty to give some of these names, and I don't know if he's in the chat today, but I'd probably, sure, that sounds like a good one. Full transparency, I will probably still just call him Mylan Graham in the same way that I still call Great House.
Yeah, correct. Because, agreed. Like, I'm just, first of all, number one, I'm not good at nicknames, and usually if I come up with a nickname for somebody, or like one of my friends, it has nothing to do with their name, and it's usually derogatory in some form or fashion. So I'm just not good at coming up with ones for any Notre Dame player, first of all. So yeah, grand one sounds fantastic.
I don't even have any nicknames for the guys at IB that I work with, let alone the players on Notre Dame's team. Like,
this is true.
I just call everybody brother or man or dude or.
Yep. All right, Jay Melvin, we know Boubacar is a stud, but who would be more impactful to break out besides him, Bryce, or Keon? And who do you think will break out?
I think the answer is, the most impactful as of today, I think, would be Bryce. He's his third year in the system. He was a highly rated recruit coming out. Keon, and we said this at the time, like, could Keon break out and have a massive breakout in 2026? Sure, but I think that he would be best suited to come back for his fifth year in 2027. Whereas Bryce, him breaking out this year gives Notre Dame a viable other option in the starting lineup. That's how I view this. Who do I think will break out? I think both of them to a degree. But Keon needed reworking when he got to South Bend. There were things that he was not taught at Alabama, that like day one fundamental things about being a defensive end that he was not taught down there, that he had to learn when he came to Notre Dame. So who would be the more impactful breakout? Right now I'm going to go with Bryce Young, but honestly, you can't really go wrong with either of these. If Bryce Young is just who he was last year, but Keon becomes the dude, okay, let's roll. As long as somebody besides Boubacar, alongside Boubacar Traore, steps up, Notre Dame's defensive line, especially at the edge, is going to be in a very, very good spot.
Inside the question itself, it says Boubacar is a stud. So I'm not even he's not part of this conversation. I agree with you. I think Bryce breaking out this year would be fantastic, but I wouldn't mind having a 3-man rotation at defensive end with all three of these guys playing to their potential. I think Keon would absolutely, his growth got stunted a little bit at Alabama. I think he would be better off if he would have come to Notre Dame in general. But I think a fifth year for him is going to be crucial as well. I'm with you on that one. But I would love to see 11 making some plays for sure.
Yeah, would not be upset about that. That is for sure.
From Super Saiyan Red Bee, do you agree that Lionel Messi is the best football player in history?
I think he's in contention for one of the best soccer players in history.
If you ask my 11-year-old, he would say yes. He's a huge Messi fan and is very excited about the championship here in a day or two. I don't have enough depth of knowledge to make an assertion on this, so I will plead the fifth and just say that he's a very good player. From Andre Tonsel, what is your defensive line rotation in fall camp?
I mean, I think on the first day, because I think it's going to be subject to change, but on the first day of fall camp, I'm trotting out Boubacar and Bryce at end, and then probably Jason Onye and Armel Mukim at defensive tackle. And then my second team would probably be, if it were up to me, Keon Keeley and Rodney Dunham. And then second team interior would be Tion Gray and Francis Brew, or, Francis Brew and Elijah Hughes, or there's a bunch of different combinations that you could go with, but that's probably what my rotation would look like. I think as fall camp progresses, you could see sets where it's Keon and Bryce and Tion Gray and Jason Onye if they wanted to get a bigger look out there. And just thinking about that on the field would be massive. I mean, Bryce Young is 6'6", Keon Keeley 6'5", Tion Gray 6'5", Jason Onye 6'5". So depends on what look they want to go with. But
you can go wrong there.
No, not at all. So Andre, I think the realistic first time we're out in practice, I think we'll see Boubacar, then Bryce, and then Jason Onye, and then Armel Mukim to start.
I like it. But this team's 8 deep easy on the defensive line. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jay Melvin, Trev, in the past 2 seasons, Oregon has gotten dominated in the 2 big playoff games, not only beat, but completely psyched out and looked like they had no fight. Do either of you know why that is? Dan Lanning's overrated. No.
Well, thank you for coming to the Irish Breakdown podcast. They'll see you Monday.
Right.
It's could be part, but in all seriousness, it's bad preparation. I think. I just don't think that they were prepared in either of those matchups. They were very much overwhelmed by Ohio State in 2024. I don't know if they just assumed that they could roll out the same game plan that they did back in October, but that clearly did not work. And obviously when they got to the Rose Bowl, they got absolutely dominated. Some of it too is they just played the better teams. Oregon's 2 losses in the postseason were to the teams that went on to win the national title. It's very similar to...
That is true.
I mean, it's also very similar to Notre Dame in 2020 and 2018 when they played in the college football playoffs. They lost by significant double digits by Clemson in 2018 and Alabama in 2020, and they also went on to win the title. And what was it then? It was Brian Kelly can't coach in big games. They weren't prepared. They yada, yada, yada. So I think a lot of that has been the same for Oregon. There's a lot of similarities there. They have the talent. I would give Dan Lanning the slightest by a hair edge over Brian Kelly in big games, in my opinion, because I think if Brian Kelly ever played against a top-level team like Oregon did, like against Penn State in the Big Ten championship game, I don't know if Brian Kelly wins that football game. I just don't. I don't know if Brian Kelly hosted Ohio State in the regular season like Oregon did in 2024. I don't know if they win by a point, considering I watched a Brian Kelly-led team lose to Cincinnati at home. So I give Dan Lanning the slightest edge there, but there's a lot of similarities there. So it's just lack of preparation, in my opinion, Jay Melvin. I think that's where it comes from.
It's a great answer. And, you would think that they would be, I would say prepared and ready to go since they're in the Big Ten and things like that. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. They just haven't been able to get over the hump in big games. And they do play well in regular season big games, for the most part. I was a little disappointed in how they played against IU in the regular season. But I would say I think they have not figured, like, as a program, and obviously Dan Lanning is the head of the program, right? But as a program, they haven't figured it out yet. And to your point, Trev, there's the same thing with Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. They hadn't figured out how to get over the hump in big games. That's where they are. And is Dan Lanning the guy to get them over the hump? Remains to be seen. He's got all the talent in the world to do it.
It is a big season to try to get that done this year. That is for sure.
Yeah. From Jay Melvin, Vince, I genuinely surprised to see you so eager to watch Notre Dame win another title. You've been watching Notre Dame since the Frank Leahy days, so you've seen 8 natties in your lifetime. Wow. That's like, I realize I got a little gray going on here in the beard. But Melvin, that's tough, man. You're coming right at my soul there. Coming right at my soul.
Jeez, that is Shots are fired here, Jay Melvin. Just because Vince was friends with Dan Devine does not mean that you can come at him for.
I told him to put Rudy in, and he didn't want to listen. All right.
Oh, Jay Melvin, that's crazy. I didn't even read that submission before we brought it up. While you were reading it, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Like shots fired for sure.
Goodness gracious.
Ouch. Matthew Wyrick, out of all the running backs, if they are all healthy by the start of the season, who do you think surprises a lot of people, like Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price? Who has the wow effect?
Kedron Young. He has a different build than anybody else in the running back room. Like he's 5'11", 236 pounds, whereas like a lot of the other guys are like 5'9" to 5'11", like 210 pounds. Like he has a different build. I think he's a very naturally gifted runner. I think he's a very strong runner. But I think one thing that'll surprise people about him is, assuming health is good to go, I think he's a little bit faster than what some people might think he is at 5'11", almost 240 pounds. So I'm going to go with Kedron Young.
Yeah, Kedron Young is, I think, a guy that a lot of people have forgotten about because he obviously wasn't around in the spring and, things like that. And he's a kid that I'm obviously very, very excited about. And so he's not going to necessarily surprise me. I'm a huge Kedron Young fan. And so I feel like he's going to have an opportunity to do some special things. The biggest question mark for me is I really do think it's going to be Aeneas Williams and Kedron Young as the 1-2 punch. And I said on another show, I think it was on Sean's show in the evening, that I think eventually Kedron Young is going to get the lion's share of the snaps, and Aeneas Williams will start out as the starter, but I think things will narrow, and then I think Kedron might take over by the end of the year. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of my bold prediction. But will there be a third back that breaks in? And I think whoever that third back is, that's going to be the surprise. Right now, I would put my money on Nolan James Jr. I think he could be that third guy that comes in and to spell these two, and maybe carves out a niche role as that third back. I'm just not sure if they're willing to go to 3 on a regular basis when it matters. There's going to be an opportunity late in games, obviously, when other guys are going to get in and all of that, and they've got the 5 for 5, so it doesn't matter, and they'll just rotate guys and things like that. But if a third guy actually breaks into the rotation, then I think it could be Nolan James Jr.
Yeah, Vince, you might be onto something. I think there's a world where like Kedron Young leads the room in total carries, but Aeneas Williams could lead the room in like total touches between like his receptions and impact in the pass game.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too about the running back rotation, I'm very curious to see if Jaywan Sider will go deeper than 2.
Yes.
Now, the counter to that is like, I'm not saying I don't know if he will, or I'm not saying I'm afraid that he won't. We just haven't seen him have to do it yet. Like when he was at Penn State, he had Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. Who's pushing to dethrone one of those two? And then when he went to Notre Dame in 1 year, he had Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Who are you taking off the field? So
100%.
This isn't me saying that, he won't. I just don't know if he will.
Exactly. We haven't seen it. He hasn't had an opportunity to do so. And I think this is a great opportunity to do so. Obviously you've got a bunch of guys with an unwritten Notre Dame, resume right now. And so you've got an opportunity to play multiple guys, and you don't have to worry about redshirting anybody. And so I think that just opens up all kinds of possibilities, right? So will they go more than 2? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I hope so from a wear and tear standpoint. I really do.
Me too, brother. This is a fun one from Bees.
All right. From Beezer 12, washing beard, build the perfect Notre Dame quarterback. Example, Clausen's arm, CJ Carr's vision, et cetera, et cetera.
Give me Deshaun Kaiser's size. Give me CJ Carr's just like moxie mentality.
Yep.
Yeah, everything.
His preparation,
ability.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give me CJ Carr's all of that.
Yep.
Give me Jimmy Clausen's accuracy.
Yep.
Give me Brady Quinn's leadership skills on and off the field. Give me Malik Zaire's arm strength. Because Malik Zaire's arm strength with Clausen's accuracy is just, that's not fair.
It's not fair at all.
Give me Riley Leonard's like guts
and like running ability, or are you just talking about like his gut?
Yeah, like I kind of like his guts, like his willingness to put his body on the line to make. I mean, throws up after the first drive of the national championship game because a couple plays prior he lands on the football. He's hurdling safeties head first, to get a first down. So give me that from Riley. Overall, like running ability, skill set, I don't know, Tony Rice.
Yeah, man, can't go wrong there.
Give me his running ability. And am I missing anything?
I was gonna instead of Brady Quinn's leadership, I was gonna say Brady Quinn's looks. Like
also fair.
You know what I mean? Like like his and like his media savvy. How about that? Like he was very good with the media. He was very, very good in front of a camera. So that I think that's important if you're going to be a quarterback. It just is these days,
Yep.
I think you hit the nail on the head with everything else.
I don't know if there's anything else that I'm missing. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. I think you nailed it. And Ron Paulus's number. I like number 3.
Agreed.
I like number 3. All right, Jay Melvin. Here we go. I never know where he's going to go when he starts it off addressing me. Vince, since you're Italian, I desperately need your opinion on this. Is traditional New York style pizza better than Chicago deep dish pizza? Oh, I feel like I'm going to alienate half the crowd no matter which way I go on this. Here's what I will say. I am neither from New York nor am I from Chicago. So it depends on my mood. You have to be in the mood for a good Chicago deep dish pizza because, you're getting in there with a fork. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a Chicago deep dish pizza is a meal. Like it is a meal. And you have to not be super hungry when you first get there because it takes forever to make the deep dish Chicago style pizza. Still very, very good. Still like very, very, very good. Now, New York style, you're talking about the big slices that you fold, and then you just, you walk in, you get your slice, and then you're walking down the sidewalk with your slice. Like, there's a place for that. Like, there is a place. Like, I want my food and I want it now, and I just want it greasy and I want it in my mouth and let's go to town. Like that, there's a place for that kind of pizza, and I'm here for it. So it really depends on my mood. I'm never a thin crust guy, ever. But I could go New York. I could go Chicago. It just depends on my mood.
Look, I'm never one to stick my nose up at pizza.
Right. There's that.
And obviously I'm not Italian. But but if I had to pick, I would go New York style. That's just how I like pizza. Now I started to like Detroit style pizza, kind of like that deeper pan pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really good, but I will never turn my nose up at any. So let me ask you this, Vince, if somebody offered you a thin crust pizza, would you just be like, nah, I'm good? Or
A, it depends on if there's other options.
Okay.
B, it depends. Yeah. How hungry am I? I just don't like just like that crunch, thin crust. Like that's just not for. I'll grab a box of crackers if I want to eat that. Like I'm good. Like I just don't like the thin crust.
I feel that about deep dish pizza. If I wanted a lasagna, I would just eat a lasagna. But
that it is very lasagna-esque.
Yeah, but I do like. Yeah. Now, with that being said, no Irish English. I'm not Italian. I'm not. Yeah,
you're gonna have to fill me in on this bagel situation at some point.
Okay, so back when I was going through my own recruiting process of trying to go play college ball somewhere, I went to this Indiana State football camp. Okay. I told the story on the show a couple of times about like if we had like nicknames or anything like that, or when we were going to camps. And so we didn't want to go spend the night in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Fair.
And so we just drove down early in the morning, like from Elkhart to Terre Haute. It's like a 4-hour drive before a football camp.
No, it's a hike. We went to an Indiana State kicking camp a couple of summers ago. It's a hike.
And so we wake up at like 4 in the morning to make it there for check-in at like 8:30, and I was starving. And so and I had never been to this was my first ever camp. I was like going into my junior year of high school. And they wanted everybody to run the 40, and we were doing all these showcases before we got into 7-on-7 stuff like that. And so I'm just housing these bagels that they had out before this camp because I was absolutely starving. And so the offensive coordinator came up to me and he was like, "You hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't eat on the way down here," because in my mind, I was like, well, I don't want to stop and get a McGriddle before I go to this camp. And so we get there, there's just all these bagels and cream cheese spreads out. So I just start housing these toasted bagels. And so then I get up to run the 40, and the offensive coordinator's at the other end with the stopwatch, and he's like, "Let's see a bagel." And then for the rest of the camp, I was bagel.
Yeah.
That was it. And that's where I was. So that is the backstory to bagel.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
I know.
That's good stuff.
Last 2 ones in here. Another one about food from Brendan Plensner.
Oh, people are hitting me from every angle. Vince, as an Italian, what's your favorite cold cut and favorite non-conventional cold cut? Capicola, prosciutto. Look, I am I love ham. Ham is my go-to cold cut. My go-to cold cut sandwich is thin sliced ham with Colby Jack cheese on some white bread, toasted or otherwise, depends on the mood, a little slab of mayo, and go to town. Like that. If I have the proper crispy lettuce, I'll throw that on as well. But it has to be fresh, crisp iceberg lettuce on the sandwich. That is my favorite cold cut sandwich, and it's not close. I will always go, your non-conventional cold cut. Capicola is very good. I've never really turned down a good Italian mixed meat sandwich. So, you can't really go wrong in any way there. It doesn't get bought in our house very often because it just doesn't get eaten fast enough. So ham gets bought a lot. And so I'm a big fan of the ham.
Sorry, I was muted. Non-conventional, I tried mortadella the other couple weeks ago, and that's very good.
There you go.
But I mean, again, you guys know this. I'm not a picky eater. I will try anything. I like capicola, prosciutto, soppressata, all that stuff. It's all good to me. My favorite food is sandwiches. Yeah. I just like sandwiches.
Hell yeah.
And since Lauren has been pregnant, I've been nice about not buying deli meat.
Ooh, that's tough.
And so I just don't, but she's going to Cincy a day early. So when we get out of the show, I'm going to go to the store and get a bunch of lunch meat and just have a lunch meat sandwich. It's been, I'm not kidding you, months.
Wow. You're a good husband, dude. I don't know.
Thanks, bro.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I got lucky. My wife did not have weird cravings and things that ticked her off or anything. So nothing really changed from an eating standpoint. She would have cravings for just random stuff she always eats. Could have been an excuse to get that particular food. I don't know. But of course I did it. But nothing weird banana and pickles or, whatever. I can't even think of anything weird, but she didn't have any of that. So that's good. But yeah, you're good, man, for going against something that you love. Respect.
Thanks, dude. That and no steak. I haven't had steak in a very long time.
Wow. Yeah, dude, mad respect now.
We will end today's show on this note from Broke Neck Boy.
Vince doesn't look a day over 30. I don't know if you're just kissing my butt or you want to be in the pantheon of IB listeners, but you win today, Broke Neck Boy. You are the winner. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Folks, that's going to do it for us here today on the Irish Breakdown Podcast. Vince and Brian will be back on Monday with the buy, so hold. That thread's going to go up over the weekend on boards.irishbreakdown.com. So make sure that you hop in, get your submissions in. If you're not a premium message board subscriber, I highly suggest doing so, not just for the buy, sell, hold. Fall camp is coming up here soon. The season's getting ready to start. And we have the IB Premium Magazine coming out, preseason magazine, only for message board subscribers. So make sure that you hop in on the boards and subscribe. On your way out of the show, folks, please be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends, family, anybody that you know loves Notre Dame and college football as much as you do. Have a fun and safe weekend. Until next time, that's Vince. I'm Trevor. See you back here very soon on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.